It's a new word that our good friend Pablo not too long ago came up with. That's his word. He should trademark that. Just saying. Should be owned by Habs. So give it a few minutes to see who all joins. If you're watching on Twitter, welcome on board. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, again, welcome on board. That's why I am able, if you're wondering why I can be on YouTube right now, because you haven't already wondered before, this is obviously not the first time. But due to Habs, you can be live without 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Without platforms like Habs, you have to have at least either fancy equipment or at least 1,000 subs. Maybe someday in the future, right? So, kind of unprepared. We're just going to wing it tonight. We're going to have fun, both figuratively and literally. Not seeing any comments yet, so I'm not sure who's all here. I don't have the ability to see how many people, though they're working on that. And then as soon as people join, I'll explain why I titled what my title is, in case y'all don't already know. If you guys haven't met me, my name is Ryan from Kent, Ohio. I talk a lot of aviation, a lot of life stuff, tech stuff. So a little bit ago, I was on a friend's broadcast. Actually, technically just met her tonight, and was a guest on, I forget her name already. Hold on. Here he is. What's up, Vince? How you doing? Hello from Alhambra. I think I pronounced that right. Did I pronounce that right? I'm looking at my profile for a second on my phone because I want to do a shout out right now. Because I'm horrible at names. But I don't know, Vince, I don't know if you were there, but I was privileged to officially meet Darcy. I don't know if you know Darcy Hall. Good. I'm happy you're doing good. I'm doing okay. Doing all right. I was off today, so. But Vince, you probably already know what I mean by the title. Still referring to the Mike Boom. Got it to work and it's still working. So I think we have a winner here. But yeah, a little bit ago I was on Darcy Hall's broadcast. Not too long ago, a few of us were there. Yassine was on her broadcast as well. I was on her broadcast as a guest. Yeah, Yassine, myself, two other people that I haven't met before until tonight, and then Pablo was on with us as well. So that was a lot of fun. And the story goes, I was in the middle of eating, and she was just inviting anybody and everybody. Like everybody that was joining as a viewer was getting invites, and I'm like, okay, well, now or never. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll worry about my food later. Like, I can always reheat my food. So, because she was running short of time too, but she shout her out. So, Darcy, if you're watching, thank you for having me on earlier. That was quite the privilege. That was awesome. Um, what we were going to do today, which I kind of ran out of time, and I don't know if we're going to do it here. I was going to talk about uh, what the NTSB found out about the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash last year, and the behind the scenes stuff um, is taking a lot longer than I'd imagined that it would. Because I was going to do it right away, and I was like, let's wait a little bit. And then today it just kind of ran out of time, so I'm like, okay, well, you know, get more people in, and then we could talk about it and do more of a really professional type broadcast. Because as the days go on, I'm still finding out new information. So that's actually the good thing, is even stuff that I'm familiar with about what happened and why it happened. Is there's people in the aviation industry that have prominent YouTube followings that know a thing or two. They know a little bit more than I do. I don't pretend like I know everything. I don't. Trust me, I don't. But it's good to hear from those people, because that's what I'm about, is to give you perspective on different viewpoints and different ways to think about things, whether we know about something or we don't, or if it's a totally new thing. But we're just here to have fun. Vince, you're more than welcome to come up if you want. If not, that's cool. Like I said, we're just going to wing it tonight. Were there any new info on the helicopter crash? That 8 people. Yeah. Yes. The new information actually came out 2 days ago, day before yesterday. And if you're not familiar, when an incident or an accident, both things, that either involve either loss of life or injuries or significant damage, whether it's to the aircraft itself or to, one sec, property or anything, the NTSB usually gets involved. And the NTSB, for short, is the National Transportation Safety Board. And they don't just do aviation. That's where they're most known. But, they do, like major car wrecks and everything too. But yeah, the initial actual cause of the report of the actual cause, I should say, actually came out 2 days ago. And it was what we in the aviation industry call pilot error. Okay. Obviously, I didn't know the pilot. Okay. But from what I've heard of the pilot, Kobe's pilot, he's flown Kobe and family members many, many times. He was trusted, and he was well respected in the aviation industry, and he knew what he was doing. So just want to clear that up before anybody asks in the future. He did know what he's doing. He had a lot of respect. He had a lot of trust, and he had a lot of experience. To sum it up, basically, before doing like a full-on like production show, which I'm actually trying to plan on doing, is what happened was what's called spatial disorientation. And if you know anything about the incident, the weather that day um, was was horrible, was crappy. Didn't mean you couldn't go flying, but it meant that you should have thought twice before taking off. Any pilot, whether it's a helicopter pilot or a fixed wing airplane pilot. Um, and we in the aviation industry call that the go no go decision. You take a whole bunch of factors in, and that helps you with your decision of whether you're actually going to go with the decision, the go decision, or the no go, saying, okay, well, we're going to stay grounded as such, stay on the ground and wait it out. Helicopters are a little special because they can fly in weather a little bit worse than fixed wing pilots. And what I mean by that is they can fly in what's called special VFR conditions, where VFR is visual flight reference or visual flight regulations, same thing. And what happens is you have to have a certain amount of visibility, and the clouds have to be a certain height above, either above ground level or above sea level. Okay, so above ground level would be AGL, or standard would be what we call MSL, or mean sea level, which is a standard altitude referenced by sea level. And the visibility sucked. He was VFR, okay, flying at about 140 knots. That's cooking. That's going pretty quick. They were going faster than when I get an airplane when I'm allowed to fly. I'm only allowed to fly about 120 knots due to my license that I have. So this helicopter is capable of flying a lot faster, about 140 knots, and the pilot got disoriented, lost reference with the ground, and lost control of the aircraft. And in doing so, when he lost control of the aircraft, what he wanted to do is he wanted to climb the aircraft to see if we can get above the clouds. He made it within, if I'm not mistaken, he made it within about 100 feet. So in other words, he had the aircraft, and then 100 feet above the aircraft was the top of the clouds. Okay, so in other words, the clouds would be below him at that point, and he was still in the clouds. And what happened is he tried an emergency maneuver to try to get up, and the NTSB doesn't report it, but it's pretty safe to say that I'm not sure if the pilot panicked at that point, because like I said, the NTSB report doesn't mention the word panic in it, anywhere in it. But he had a lot of stress. He knew something was wrong. He knew he was getting himself into, for lack of a better term, a difficult situation, or a hairy situation, if you will. And when he pulled up in the helicopter, he pulled up a little too fast. And what happened when he pulled the aircraft up, what happened is the helicopter started a descent. And like I said, I'm still diving into the report. It's the lengthy report. It's like 1,600 pages long. It's a long report. So it talks about everything from, what the pilot's capabilities are or were, what the pilot was allowed to do, which are actually two different things. And then he was, um, uh, lack of equipment inside the aircraft, which some, not all of us, but some of us think that they could have at least helped them. I don't know if it would have saved them, but it would have helped them. Which is actually one of the recommendations, because that's what the NTSB will do too, is they're not a governing agency. They just investigate what happened, and then they come up with the cause. And then in doing so, what they do is they make recommendations to the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. And then they go from there. And one of the recommendations is to have certain equipment on board, which even some companies, let alone helicopter pilot individuals that have their own helicopters, they cannot afford, because this equipment's on upwards of like $35,000. But what it does is it measures distance between the helicopter and the ground. It's a special radar type, laser type thing. And what it does is it shoots a signal pointed down to the ground. And then when the signal hits whatever that surface that it hits, and it bounces back up to the sensor that's on the aircraft. And the time that it takes for it to do that says, okay, well, you're 400 feet above the ground, or you're 300 feet above the ground, or you're 350 feet above the ground. And it'll give you and it's pretty accurate, hence the $35,000. It's really accurate. And then size and weight of the equipment too could be a problem as well. So not everybody can afford it, but that's what the NTSB wants right now is only some helicopters that did what they did for Kobe should have this equipment. It's called a radar altimeter is what it's called. So it almost works like a radar, kind of. And rest in peace for all who, for those 8 that lost their lives that day, because what happened shouldn't have happened at all. It shouldn't have happened, period. End of story. But this is the first time that that's happened. This is just one of the more high-profile cases where we pay extra attention to, okay, if, we can always say after something happens, we could say, well, if this happened or if this didn't happen in a certain way, then of course you might have a different result. So, like I said, it's pretty much a summary of what happened. But there's all kinds of explicit details, and it goes into why the pilot made the decision that he did. It talks about whether the pilot was right or wrong at the time. They mentioned they came up with a name, and it's not like they invented the name of it. Let me look at my notes. Okay, what they're calling it is self-induced pressure. So there was pressure for the pilot to do the flight upon which he did. It does mention vaguely if there was any pressure. Doesn't Like I said, very vaguely, I think. Um, but was there any pressure as far as um, any of the passengers on board the aircraft, with Kobe himself or any of the passengers, um, did not induce any pressure towards the pilot? That's where the trust came in. They trusted that the pilot made the correct decisions up to the accident. Uh, so I'm thinking that everybody that was on board felt safe. They felt okay with doing what they did, and from what I understand, I don't think that this wasn't the first time. Not just there have been accidents very similar to this. I'm just saying, because this one happens to involve, you know, the late Kobe, the late Kobe Albert or Kobe Bryant. Um, but there have been incidents of a very very similar nature um, that unfortunately happen quite often, and we're at the point where um, we need in the aviation industry, we need to figure out how to get this to stop, or if there is a way to get it to stop. Because I'm not allowed to fly in the clouds as a fixed wing pilot, but um, there are cases where you can fly a helicopter, not necessarily in the clouds, but um, around the clouds. And with helicopters, I guess the word normal. What's up, Bruce? You don't really want to, especially in a helicopter, you don't want to fly in the clouds. You can in a fixed wing, and it's a lot easier in a fixed wing. Um, but with a helicopter, it's almost a normal thing where you're not flying in the clouds, but you're flying close to the clouds. Like, for example, when I go flying, I have to stay away from the clouds. I'm not allowed to go flying and penetrate the clouds, but I have to stay a certain distance away from the clouds. Period. End of story. Okay. And, even in a helicopter, that's a smart thing to do. Um, Regardless of what type of aircraft that you're flying, it is, whether you're trained, you have to be trained to, I am not Bruce. I am not. I have 1 hour of flight time in a helicopter, and it was only by chance. And that was a free lesson, by the way. That was a 1 hour helicopter lesson in a Robinson R-22. Um, it was quite a while ago, and where I used to live, I still live close to my local private airport. But back then, I lived even closer, a lot closer. And my dad works for one of my local news agencies, and the particular news agency that he works for no longer has their own helicopter. There's other ones that do have a helicopter, but not his station. They got rid of it. Don't ask me why. I don't know. But helicopters are not cheap to fly. They're not cheap to fly. They're not cheap to own or to maintain. Matter of fact, they're very expensive. They're actually, to run and operate and own, stow a helicopter, it's actually a lot more expensive than a fixed wing. And my dad's kind of the person where, as much as I love him, he's the kind of person that expects me to initiate like if I want to talk to him, he expects Ryan to call him. He doesn't initiate calling me up and, hey, let's go out, have fun, and do stuff. Like and this was after my parents divorced, and he's out in a helicopter, and I don't know if they still call it this, but back then they called it running microwave. Is what the term was, and he would sit in the back of the helicopter, and he would run both. He would do camera work and transmitting the signal from the camera to back to the station, and it worked via microwaves, the same microwaves that the actual waves themselves that enable your microwave at home to operate. And now, in that case, it was just transmitting a signal. You definitely understand about plane. Oh, parents. I thought you said planes. Parents, yeah. But one day I was in the middle of doing my homework, and my dad calls out of nowhere, and he just doesn't do that. And he calls, and mom answers the phone, and she's like, "Well, Dad wants to talk to you." All right. So Dad's like, "Okay, well, don't tell Mom what were you doing. Just tell her you're gonna go on a bike ride. This. I'm still young. This is before I even got my driver's license, right?" He's like, "Tell your mom you're going on a bike ride. Don't tell her what's going on. Don't tell her why. Don't tell her where you're going. Don't tell her you're going anywhere. Just tell her that you're just gonna go for a bike ride." Because that's what I did that a lot. I just got on a bike, and I just bike. I want to have any particular destination or whatever. So I knew right then, like, my mom's not going to think anything of it. She's not going to think anything's up or anything. Not that she would have had a problem with it. I don't think she would have. But he's like, hop on your bike, meet me at the airport. That's all you need to know. I'm like, well, why? He's like, no, just meet me at the airport. You'll see in a few minutes. But he said you have to leave like right now. It's like now or never. Like, okay. Hey, Mom, I'm done with my homework. Well, I came back home and then finished it that night, but I told her I was done or whatever because I'd have to finish it. That was the rule of the house. I had to finish my homework before I went bike riding. All right, I'm done with my homework. I'm going on a bike ride. Okay, no problem. Go to the airport, and this Robinson R44 is approaching, and I knew right away that it was my dad because, of course, in big, huge letters on both sides of the helicopter, it says Cleveland 19 right on it. Well, I take that back. It used to be 19 Action News, and now they call it Cleveland 19. So that's your role as well. Yeah. So I'm like, cool. I think Dad's on that helicopter. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that he didn't tell me that it was on a helicopter or whatever. And then you guys probably have heard of it because it's a very huge golf event that happens once every year. And the reason why I went from aviation to golf is because that's why he was coming to the airport. They were going to refuel at the airport, and they were going to get I think they call them B shots or B roll shots for I just thought of it, and it just had it in my head. It's the name of the golf club. Hold on a second. I want to say Goodyear, but it's not Goodyear. I think it's sponsored by Goodyear. Hold on 1 second. Oh, Firestone Country Club. You guys hear of Firestone Country Club? That was your role until they were divorced. Ah, I see. Okay, so um, I think it was called the Firestone Invitational. I think that's what it was called. And that's what we had to do. We had to get B-roll shots, like pre-recorded stuff, because the Firestone Invitational was you have not heard. Okay, what? But the point being, that's a major like once a year golf tournament that involves the big boys. I'm not a fan of golf, so I can't really like Tiger Woods and those guys. They always come. Matter of fact, I don't. As in the last couple of years, they've stopped doing it, not because of COVID, um, something else as a result. But um, yeah, it was one of those major golf things or whatever. And he's like, "Well, we're gonna refuel, and you get to watch me work." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "No, hop in. You're going for a helicopter ride." Just like that, just a paid ride. And at first, that's how it started out, was just a ride, and ended up turning into an actual lesson. Okay. uh, so we did the work. Of course, my dad was doing everything, and I'm just chilling in the front of the helicopter, because Robinson R44 is technically a 5-seater, but it's a 4-seater if you think about it. But you could probably, if you really wanted to, you could probably put five smaller people in the helicopter, because technically there are 3 seats in the back. But you know, what's up? How you doing? That Joanne Lynn? Hi. Um, Welcome on board from Greeley, Colorado. Oh wow. Well, welcome on board. Nice to meet you. I think I've seen you around before. I have family in Colorado, in Parker. You probably know where Parker is, just outside of Denver, in the Denver area. Um, but we went back to the airport, and no, not really, because I already happened to be uh, not necessarily involved in aviation, but I knew a lot about aviation at that point. My parents almost yearly, either for my birthday or by Christmas, I'd get like Lego sets, and I'd build them for a little bit, and then I'd tear them down, and then once I had enough Legos, I'd sit there and build my own airplanes out of them. And I should have kept them, but I didn't. Um, but no, ever since I was little, like way little, I've been always interested in aviation. My dad used to joke about how I knew how an airplane worked before uh, really actually seeing, like in person, my first actual airplane, and going on my first airplane trip. Um, so um, sit there and I'd build my own Lego models of airplanes, and like my dad would like, well, how do you know what they look like, and how do you know that's what they do and why they do it? Nobody's born a pilot, but I guess I'm a natural. I guess this is something that I just It's just one of those things that just clicks with me or whatever. So, uh, so my dad got out once he was done, and then he just stayed around the airport, and then he got to watch me because the pilot and I we set up cones. We took like a little break and we set up cones in the field that's next to the runway. And the cones were about, he really wasn't measuring them, but probably about the size of what like a football field would be. Um, and um, their pilot, who happened to be a flight instructor, he's like, okay, well, this is your first lesson. It's paid. It's on the house. It's cool, or whatever. And so, because I guess they when they refueled it, they put too much fuel in, and they had to um burn off some fuel. So that's how they did that. It was giving me a free on the spot lesson. It's interesting how a developer likes and dislikes when yeah, isn't it interesting? It really is interesting. So we set up cones, and his inside joke, it's more of a joke than some of his students take it literally. Um, Afterwards, he said that it was just a joke. I took him up on the offer not only because that was the right thing to do, and I'll tell you what the offer is in a second, but because my dad happened to be involved or whatever. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to reward my dad because he never calls me. You know, that's my way of saying, hey, thank you. You know, thank you for being a good dad or whatever kind of thing. And his role is, okay, I'm going to teach you how to hover. If you can hover this helicopter by yourself with a little help from me, the instructor, obviously, your goal is to stay in the inside portion of those cones. There were 4 cones. If you can stay inside within the boundaries of the cones, the first time that you hover the helicopter, I will buy you a steak dinner. That's his thing. Um, if you fail, you buy the instructor the steak dinner. I ended up doing it anyways, and yes, I did fail. And it wasn't a test. It wasn't like a flight test by any means, but it's just okay. Just kind of having fun and kind of a you know for shoots and giggles kind of thing or whatever. And I was all over the place, and he took over or whatever, and spent almost an hour doing it or whatever, and a little bit better, but I'm not planning on flying a helicopter anytime soon, but that doesn't mean that I'm not willing to take helicopter lessons. I think that would be pretty fun. Um, but flying a helicopter is like you see the guys sit there and they'll spin a basketball on your finger. We'll take 2 basketballs, spin it on your finger, and take another basketball on top of that basketball and spin that one and just balance it on your finger. So if you have not 1 but 2 basketballs, and that's what it's like to that's what it's like to hover a helicopter. That's the simulation of that top basketball, so to speak. Okay. So that's what it's like that because and the reason why it's like that is it's something you have to get used to. At first it's very difficult, and once you start building the hours, it gets a little bit easier and more manageable. Okay. So if we go back to um, what we were saying in the beginning of the broadcast, um, that's part of what happened during the Kobe Bryant incident because what happens is in a helicopter, it's a lot easier to fly the helicopter. Number one, manually. Most helicopters don't have autopilots. They'll have hydraulics, and it'll help you. So yeah, the hydraulics themselves will make the controls where for a second or two you can take your hands off the controls, usually just one at a time, because you literally 99.99% of the time you have two hands on two individual controls, and then you have your feet on the pedals. Welcome back, Vince. Okay, and the more that you have of a reference outside visually in a helicopter, theoretically, the easier it is to fly the helicopter. Did Amazon send you another mic stand, or did I fix it? I pretty much fixed it. And how I fixed it was I had a boom arm, which is the boom that you see now, sort of, a little bit. There you go. And if you can tell that this hinge here is in the correct orientation, or the springs are in the correct orientation. The other boom wasn't like that. BJ, welcome on board. Like I said, anybody and everybody's more than welcome to join. Sorry, I'm using the camera off my laptop, so I literally having to move my laptop. But and this boom arm, the one that I'm using now, as a floor-mounted boom arm instead of this. Whoops. We can do this. Instead of this hinge here, these two dual hinges here, there's this metal thing right here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but right where I'm pointing there. Yes, BJ, absolutely. Absolutely. And then just in case if you want, Vince, you're more than welcome. And anybody else that's here, you're more than welcome to join as well. There he is.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay, just hanging in there. How you feeling? How you doing?
Doing all right. A little unnecessary stress from, I don't even know what the heck it's from, but other than that, trying my best to relax on a day off. Otherwise, I'm doing well.
Hello, Bruce.
But
yeah.
Here he comes.
What's it?
What's that?
Hey guys, check this out.
Oh,
cool.
awesome.
Just got it.
Do I?
Nice.
And with the magnet too. Just got it.
Right. I'm trying to figure out how to.
How'd you get that, Vince?
It came in the mail.
Nice. Congratulations.
No, thank you.
Sorry, Vince. I was trying to.
Hello, Shar.
Trying to make Vince bigger, and it wasn't working. That's okay. Instead, I was making myself bigger.
Bruce, this came from Car Hunger. They're the ones who made the Haps logo.
That's right. Yeah.
They cut it out from their 3D printer. And
Awesome.
I actually asked them for a minute, and they
Yeah, that's really cool.
yep,
That's awesome that they made that for you.
I know.
All right.
Yep,
So nice of them.
yeah, they're two of my favorite people. At least two of my favorite people.
So I already
Hey,
forgot
Sh-
her.
hey, Sharice, how are you?
How you doing?
Welcome on board,
Baby.
Sharice. Nice to meet you.
Baby.
And I'm looking at it again because I already forget her name. But I mentioned it before you guys all joined, and I'll mention it again because I'll shout her out a second time. But I don't know if you guys were there, but I had one hell of a way to meet. You guys know who Darcy is? If you know who
Actually, no,
Darcy,
I don't.
I think she said if I heard her right, I think she's only been on literally for a few days.
I'm glad you did.
And she was live a little bit ago, and I was in the middle of eating, and she was having a lot of fun, and Pablo was already on her broadcast just as a guest or whatever, just and they were just hanging out, and Pablo was helping her get used to broadcast studio and everything else,
It's good.
and just a general chat or whatever. So anybody that was coming in the room as far as a viewer, she was just inviting just anybody, whether she knew them or not, just inviting anybody. We were just having a blast or whatever. And I see the notification pop up like, "Hey, you've been invited to Darcy's broadcast," and I'm like, "Okay." So I set my food aside earlier or whatever, and I'm like, "Yeah, now or never," or whatever. So that was one really cool way to meet another broadcaster on the fly like that. So shout her
Yeah, that's
out
cool though.
because she's awesome. I just subscribed to her like maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, whatever. Yassine was on. Pablo was on, I was there, and then there was two other people that hello Steve,
What up, Steve?
two other
Hey,
people that
Steve.
I just met today were on. So what total of six of us, I think, five, and then herself. So that was a lot of fun.
Hello, Steve.
So I thought I'd shout her out because she seems kind of cool, whatever. And we're helping her get to that 250 mark, and she shot way past that, like in threes or something. Hey,
What's up,
Brandon,
Brandon?
you guys. Like I said, anybody, I know you guys are just Kenny. Welcome on board. Anybody's more than welcome to join.
Hey, Kenny, how are you?
Somehow.
What's up, dude? Hello, Kenny. Kenny, my name's Vince. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Kenny. Hello, Brandon.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
up, Brandon?
Yeah. So how you doing, everybody? How you doing, Charlotte?
Rye Brook, New York. Wow, you're an artist and content creator. Wonderful. Subscribe to you. Brendan, I thought I was subscribed to you because I've definitely seen you
How you
around.
been, Kenny? What's up, buddy?
There we go. Thank you guys. Thank you, Kenny, for subbing. But other than that, just kind of hanging out, and like I said, and Vince, we were kind of in and out or whatever. But we were just doing a real quick and dirty kind of thing of summary. But I'm not treating it as an excuse. I was gonna go live like way earlier and get real intimate about like what happened, let you guys know what happened with the Kobe Bryant incident. Um, so hopefully tomorrow, because actually the longer I'm waiting, the more information I end up finding. So that's actually the good news about that, because then that enables me not to leave something critical out, which I don't want to do.
Right.
So we'll do that later, I guess, because that's one of those things where I got to get it right, especially live.
Okay.
Pre-recorded, like a pre-recorded YouTube thing. I could do 100 million takes all I want, but
Right.
I'm so used to this live thing. So hopefully, I'm not making any promises, guys. But hopefully tomorrow, because I'm off again tomorrow too. So
Oh,
tomorrow will
perfect.
probably be the day. So I'll probably try to do it. If it happens, I'll probably do it earlier, not like early in the middle of the day. Probably sometime after like 5
Right.
Eastern, but it'll probably be later at night. But I'm like, nah, I ain't gonna do that at 11 o'clock at night either. No. So
Like, nah.
nah, I'm like, it's not worth it because what I was gonna do is set up my lights and everything, and instead of using this mic boom here or my wireless lav, set up my speakers just in case if anybody does join, and then I have a one of those hold on.
Hey, look at
One of
yourself.
these things. What's it called? What, a dry erase board? So I got a bigger one of these here, like a big one. Like it's not massive, but it's probably like I think it's like 3 feet by 2 feet, something like that. It's pretty big, and I have a whole easel, floor-mounted easel, whatever. And I was just gonna, that would be good to put, because I can't use OBS, so that would be my way of putting the bullet points on in case anybody loses track. Because as much when I talk about aviation, I still have that nasty tendency to go for the proper terminology and not say, okay, well, they didn't know layman's terms, Ryan, because they may not know what this acronym means or whatever. So that'd be a way of like showing you like what the hell is Ryan actually talking about? Like, what is this? What does NTSB mean? What is the FAA again? Yada 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 yada.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
could just spell it right out for you guys and have it there, kind of like almost like what Jim does, kind of. So, I mean, I could do that right now if I want, but I'm not going to. No, we're here to have fun and just
That's right.
random stuff. But no, just to finish what I was saying earlier, this boom that I'm actually using, I didn't realize that it pretty much is the same thing, but it was used to hold my phone. The mount that I have now only can hold the phone, but you could buy one that's big enough. You could put like an iPad in it if you want, but I don't have an iPad as of yet. So it has a ball, this metal thing here.
Mm-hmm.
That's the straight joint. Enable the shock mount where I'm touching now, which is a shock mount. And instead, it was a ball joint, and then it holds the phone, and it just sat in a floor mount. And the floor mount's like no different than like the bottom portion of like a floor mounted light, like a floor lamp would be. And I'm like, well, dude, it's the same thing. So I was playing around or whatever, and I had to take this whole hinge apart, like completely, like got it, take it completely 100% apart. And I'm like, it fits just like the other one. Cool. So this part here is still a tiny bit loose, and just I'm thinking that's just because the shock mount is impressively cheap. So the threads inside here are so cheap that nobody could do anything about it. So that I'm not worried about. At least not right now. So.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, kitty, 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 kitty. Hey, kitty, kitty, kitty.
Yeah.
What's your cat's name?
Mitten.
Mittens?
Mm-hmm.
I like that name. I don't know if you've heard of her, but Mira Goto. I think you know who she is.
Yeah, they're actually Mira and Anthony are currently in Hawaii vacationing.
Really? No kidding. Her
Yep.
cat's name, the reason why I mentioned her is because her cat's name is Minz
Yep.
as well. And there's one time that I actually called her Myra instead of Mira live when she was watching my broadcast. It's just like, it's Mira, like a mirror. I'm like, I'm like, thank you for. I was showing her. She joined because I that day I was showing not mine, but the church soundboard
Hmm.
that day, and she ended up joining that one day or whatever because that board's impressive. I'll have to show you sometime on Haps, but due to data limitations and then because of
Hmm.
what's going on right now, that's it's not impossible, but it's just almost next to impossible right now. So it'll happen.
I'm actually glad they got the Twitch integration in it, so I'm connected to Twitch.
Cool. I'm probably not going to. I want to keep that open. The idea of that open, but that's the only thing that really scares me is not that I would or anything, but once you're an affiliate, then you're pretty much automatically saying bye to any other platform. And if you don't say bye, then you do it at your own risk, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Like
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about that, so that's cool.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not a affiliate or partner.
Spurs is asking an awesome question. He says, "May I ask what got me interested in broadcasting?" A couple things. Friends, a little bit of pressure, but it's kind of like that would be the easier way to describe it. Like nobody forced me or anything, but it's more of now's your chance kind of thing. But a long time ago, I was on Twitter, like a long time ago, like way back in dinosaur age or whatever, when Twitter like first came out. I had it for a little bit.
Age.
And then for still to this day, unknown reason, I ended up getting rid of Twitter to the point where like I actually like to rank. Hey, bud. So one day I'm just sitting there and I'm flipping bored as hell at home or whatever, and I'm playing with my phone or whatever, and I'm like, let's try Twitter again. So I re-download Twitter. I kid you not like one of the first tweets that I saw, the very first tweet, the second that I log back in, and I create a whole new profile or whatever. What's up, guys? Got that guys outside the door here. We're live. We're live. Yeah. They're having fun too. They think they can be seen, but they're not. But anyways, the first tweet that I see it was a Periscope tweet. Because by then, Periscope was around for maybe like 9 or 10 months by then. And a guy by the handle of Thailand to Thailand. So Thailand, like the tie that you wear, and then to Thailand, it was just one word, to Thailand as the country Thailand. And he's an American expat. I don't know if he still lives down there or not. I haven't heard from him literally in almost 2 years now. But he's an Army vet too. So we clicked right away, whatever. And he was one of the soldiers that would guard the tomb of the unknown soldier in Arlington. He was one of those soldiers, which was really freaking cool. And so that was the first person that I followed. And then from there, just kind of like mostly a viewer at that point. And then as time went on, I just kind of started pressuring myself and was like, okay, well, I'm getting all kinds of followers. I'm like, well, why have all these followers and not go live? And then that's when I found, like, almost not very soon afterwards, that's when I met on Periscope Joanne. Back, Vince, you know this, back in those days, was, what did she call herself? Spam and Rice, I think it was.
Oh, Rice and Spam.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's when I first met Joanne on Periscope.
Oh, yeah,
as
Rice and Spam.
Spam and Rice.
Yeah, Rice and Spam.
Rice and Spam. Thank you.
Mhm.
And from there, it just kind of took on a life of its own, and been through, like, this is my third name. Same account. It's always been the same account. But I think this is my third name. Because I was just Lot Boy. And then again, I think I changed it to Lot Boy 101.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah. And then I went Perspective.
Yep.
No, 4, because I was just Perspective. And I'm like, okay, well, now let's do Perspective TV. So, and the reason for the I is just, we're just all individuals and we all have our own perspective. And then I couldn't spell it the way it's supposed to be spelled anyway. So I'm like, okay, whatever, cool. So actually a couple months ago, I thought of doing the same thing and then respelling it again. And I'm like, nah, because when I went to Perspective, I confused the hell out of, like, everybody. Like, who the hell is Perspective? Because when I went to the Periscope meetup with Jim and DJ Dizzle and Musamine, we went to Phoenix, Arizona, and
Mhm.
you know, a couple months in advance, you know, we're like, okay, well, you know, who's out going or whatever, and who's not going or whatever. Just, you know, just give us heads up or whatever, and we can look for you. We can find you if we need to pick you up from the airport, kind of thing or whatever, you know. And then, like, at that point, like, I already knew who DJ Dizzle was and Musamine were.
Yep.
And they knew me as Lot Boy. And then that's when I just rechanged my name to Perspective TV. So she's going to Jim and she's like, who in the hell is Perspective? Almost kind of thing, like, and I'm like, no, I'm the same guy. I'm Lot Boy. She's like, oh. So we're like, yeah, we've known each other for like a year, but so did you hear? I don't know if he said it before, but the broadcast that I joined earlier today, because Pablo was in the same broadcast as a guest, he's saying that he's thinking of calling us Hapsters, if I remember correctly. I like that. I really like that. So shout out to Pablo. We're all Hapsters now. What do you guys think?
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's Pablo's idea. I don't even know if it's Haps by itself, but I think that's pure Pablo's idea. And I think he just came up
Oh,
with it
Hapsters?
in a broadcast. Hapsters? Yeah, that's the first time I've heard of it. So I don't know if it was mentioned before that or not, but that was definitely the first time I heard that. And it was like,
Actually, I said it. I said it the first time.
did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that needs to be definitely. I told him, I said, trademark that, dude. You know, and we get all kinds of swag, and you can put on the swag or whatever, and you know,
Yeah.
figure out who could be the true owner of that, or like an extended. Because sometimes with copyright and trademark, you know, you can have multiple owners, so to speak, too. So, Chris, what's up? What's up?
Chris, you know, I actually missed the one, but I'll check out Duo 2 later. Or actually, I can check on the app anyways.
And again, you guys, wait a minute, hold on. Which one? Oh, I'm losing track here.
What's happening, Chris?
Happening. Okay. I'm losing track of what the heck I'm doing here. All right, Bruce and Chris, you guys got an invite. If you guys want to join, you can. If not, then that's cool too. But then, yeah, that's what was happening in that broadcast I was in earlier. Just anybody that joined as a viewer or whatever, they were being invited, whatever, and I got lucky. I was able to get in. So here comes Chris, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, Chris.
I am absolutely in shock
You're in shock. Uh-oh.
about who is up front right now.
About who's what?
We got Will Bryan up front. We got Austin Dillon, Martin Truex, and Harvick's in fifth. I thought it would be like Harvick up front, Keselowski up front, Blaney up front. Even we got James Buescher in the race now. Like, what is going on here?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
but that's cool though. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm actually a NASCAR fan. Love NASCAR.
I just hope Bubba Wallace has a horrendous season this season.
Okay.
After he lied to the NASCAR community about having a racist attack against him last season. Oh, I hope he
Oh
has.
yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Wait, is he? Because I don't follow that too much. Is he the same guy that about the
When you said about the news,
He's the only black NASCAR driver.
yeah, when you said
okay.
when you said about the news.
Actually, this race that's going on right now has the only black NASCAR driver. No, the only Spanish driver was in the last duel.
Oh wow. Huh.
There's one Spanish driver, and he's owned by Pitbull. That race car's owned by Pitbull, the singer.
Oh.
This NASCAR driver is owned by Michael Jordan. Bubba Wallace's car.
The
Okay.
number 23 car.
Number 23. Yeah.
They're all against
I know a
celebrities.
couple things, but a lot that I don't know about that sport.
But
That's what we're hearing in a minute. Okay.
this is my first ever Ryan Portside show I've ever been on.
Yeah. Welcome aboard.
Now he's back to the front. He's got control of which lane he wants to choose. Martin.
You have to have
7 to go. It's about to get nutty in this race. My driver, the NASCAR, the guy from Massachusetts, got wrecked. And he's right now
Oh, that
in
sucks.
18th place. So I'm just like, come on, Cass. And you know what? Reagan, who just got in by qualifying, he is way down 16th, but he is already in by his qualifying speed.
Momentum's going to get
It's absolutely
They're actually in the
It's
Daytona.
absolutely dumb how they do this thing. All these drivers you have charter drivers and then you have non-charter drivers. The charter drivers are the ones that have
Yeah, but
see that money.
charter
Money.
drivers are competing for the qualifying spots in the back.
But the thing is these guys that could not probably aren't charter drivers either. That are charter drivers, like they qualified horrendously, but they still get to go in.
Yeah, the duels are basically for qualifying spots for the Daytona 500, Chris.
Yeah, but the way that they
Guys, give me a
do-
second. I'm experiencing some difficulties. I was trying to turn Chris's volume down a little bit. And then
I can do that
now
too.
I can't hear him. So I'm gonna
right there with that lead pack.
Let me turn down my volume. Oh jeez, everybody's going now. The whole field just crashed.
For the entire field.
Yes, like literally the entire field just crashed. The 42 crashed, the 13 crashed, the 20 to 23 crashed. All these drivers are probably they're not even like. Is this Kaz again? Is this Kaz? Please say that's not Kaz Grella again.
I think David Reagan was well behind it.
The 24 just wrecked too. Who's in the front row for the Daytona 500? Ross Chastain just wrecked too.
Looks like he's taking the gloves off. The car will not fire for him.
We see this happen often.
You said a car was on fire? I hear that right?
No, they just all wrecked.
Bruce, thank you for the Super Heart Award. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Wide into the middle and
Hey,
close the
Chris,
gap.
check this out, dude.
Smithly on the replay. There he is, the red number 13.
Isn't that from you?
Here comes the runoff.
No,
To the middle
from
and Brad
Christina Martin.
comes up.
Oh, Kristen Martin, yeah. That's pretty cool.
I don't think Brad knew he was there and give him enough room.
Yeah, isn't it?
I hate how
So I used to have
cameras.
Xbox years ago, right? And the NASCAR game, I'd do the races, right?
Yeah, actually, you can be
And
on the
then
camera, and if you don't want to, you can do the invisible.
No, I mean,
Invisible camera.
yeah,
I'm thinking about
Behind the scenes.
talking like this because like my
yeah, he could be the, yeah.
my camera stinks tonight. I don't know if it's
You
because of the location I'm in.
You didn't look too
Well,
bad.
You know,
I'm
let me
not.
turn it back on and see what happens. Oh, that works. Oh, now I'm
You look
still- now
fine.
I'm fuzzy. It looks
Just because
fuzzy.
I'm fancy doesn't mean you have to be. Nobody has to be
Let me
fancy.
see.
Just the future things that I want to do. It's going to require that in the near future, but nobody else has to. You know.
So we will go to
But,
NASCAR overtime to finish
But
this
no,
one.
I would do the races on Xbox a long time ago, right? And then I would drive the cars backwards during a race. And I used to get a kick out of that,
And Brendan Gaughan,
where
the
I'd be
Air Force
racing the opposite direction as anybody else and just create like the biggest crashes.
You know he was racing Smithley.
Why?
Smithley went to the middle. You could see
For some reason, I got a thrill out of that. I don't know if I would get a thrill out of that now. I don't know, but hey,
Closed down.
it was a game, right?
Split second.
No problem, Steve. Yeah,
Yes.
no problem.
Yes. Garrett Smithley and Noah Gregson both got into that crash. That is good news because that allows Kaz Grala to have another chance at getting into the race. I'm hoping Kaz Grala gets into this race.
Steve wants to know what channel it's on.
Wanted to pull that.
It's on Fox Sports 1. It's channel 250 for me.
A great Cinderella story.
Cool.
And he made the 500.
And he was doing everything he needed to do.
You know, Jeff, you were talking.
Yeah, I look extremely fuzzy.
Go back up in the rear of the field. They are still trying to
I'm not
look
judging.
into the issues that
No
Alex
judgments
Bowman,
here.
that 48 car has. If they
I'll
have
make
to
fun
take
of
them,
myself all day long just to entertain you all, but I'm not judging. Whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Catastrophic.
Right.
I'm going to
William Byron.
put my camera off because my mic is so good. I put my mic to halfway, so
Let me go like
No,
this.
I'm sure that
Right.
Rudy Creel, the crew chief,
no.
that is
Okay.
not wrong.
Okay.
is killed on that car. They're definitely be going to a backup car.
All right,
It tells me if Eric was a NASCAR driver, he'd be driving backwards.
No, Eric
I wonder
Eric went
Who's
out.
Eric
What
at?
the car?
I
Eric and I would duel it out. We would do that. Whoever destroys the most amount of cars. But I don't know. I just, for whatever unknown reason, I would just get it. Like if I was having a bad day, I'd just get a kick out of it and sit there and just see cars of skull just flying all over the place. Or the car that I was driving with.
Right.
Because the game that I had back in the day, you didn't have to worry about, doing it like for real per se. in a game, if you know what I mean. Like, you don't have to worry about money or, doing things like you would in real life or anything.
There's a chance that Kaz Gralla might get into the race, which is really good for, because I really want to see if he has a chance at winning this race.
It's at NASCAR, the Daytona 500 racetrack in 06 for the Legendary
the
Dealer. Oh,
No, that didn't happen in 2006. That happened in 2001.
No, I went there in 2006,
Oh,
and I took pictures.
I've been to Daytona too, but not for
yeah, I
a race.
remember that.
Dude, I've never been to Daytona. Oh, would have been great.
But
Yeah,
by the way,
That'd have been fun.
this is the only house I'm gonna be on tonight because I have to go to bed as soon as this race is over.
All right, Chris.
Because I gotta go get up at 8.
All right, so Bruce is joining.
Welcome.
What's up, Bruce?
Hey, what's up,
Bruce?
guys?
Bring
Yes.
you on. There you go. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking out,
You
buddy.
hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking up pretty hardcore.
All right, cool. All right. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I guess I'll try to figure it out. I'll reset, see what's going on.
He was a little wonky, and then he got better, and I think he's just resetting, so hopefully he can come back on board.
So I'm in a NASCAR New England Nation group, and everybody's rooting for Kaz Gralla because he's like the hometown guy, and Joey Logano is technically a hometown person too because he's from New England too, but not as many people like Joey Logano as much as they like Kaz Gralla.
Why is that, you think?
I think it's just because Kaz Gralla is such a good kid, and Joey's an okay kid, but he's not like people like Kaz Gralla, I guess.
And I'm not so we called it though. We knew.
I'm rooting for both because they're both New England. The tracks I've been to are Kansas, Speedway, Daytona, and New Hampshire.
Nice.
So I've been to 3.
Awesome. That's gonna be
Oh,
good.
cool.
And the Kansas
Working it.
race was like last second. I didn't buy a ticket until like two days before because I didn't know if I was going to get the day off
Uh-huh.
from work. And then they said I don't have to do anything that day. And I said, guess what I'm doing? Oh my God, guys! Guess what? Kaz Gralla
Dude,
is
Steve.
in position.
Wow, nice.
Pass around.
He
Does
is
he-
in
Steve.
position.
Driven
Cool.
several laps around Charlotte Motor Speedway the day after Thanksgiving each year to allow people to do.
Nice.
I pass around there.
Whoa.
That's cool.
Yeah, he is in position right now to get into the Daytona 500. Because all he has to do is stay above Smithley and Noah Gregson, and he gets in.
Is it on the final laps?
They are on, like, they only have 2 more laps to go.
Nice, Steve.
That's really cool, Steve.
I bet the Cowboys.
I was looking something up on my phone because I haven't seen it in years, but I used to watch it all the time. But Days of Thunder,
Oh,
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, good movie.
that's a really good
They
movie.
were doing a.
I can tell you that's my favorite NASCAR related movie, but that's almost a lie at the same time because that's the only NASCAR movie that I've ever watched was Days of Thunder.
Shoot.
That's the one movie that got me interested into NASCAR. It's the one movie.
Yeah, my
I
favorite
can't
is
wait
when
to
the
see
I think it's when a female cop pulls them over.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that scene is hilarious. That's my favorite scene in that movie.
So
I think-
Days of Thunder. So Days of Thunder is one of the best NASCAR films like ever made. Like there's facts behind that and everything.
Mhm.
And during the race delay today, they had to delay. They played the holy moly, they played the Days of Thunder behind the scenes thing today.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Oh
I think
my
that's
God,
part of the
Bubba
movie.
is about to win this. Holy moly.
I'll have to see
Oh,
that the behind the scenes in that movie.
Austin
Yeah.
Dillon just stole that. Austin Dillon just stole that. Oh, Austin Dillon.
Oh, he's in the lead now.
Austin Dillon literally just went right in front of Bubba.
I told you.
And just smacked him right out of the way.
Real.
Oh, cool.
That's his grandson.
How's the evening going, Bruce?
Everything all right?
I think so. Chris, I'm gonna mute you just for a few
You guys
moments.
hear
and
me
we're gonna
now?
let Bruce have the floor here. Think so. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was saying, can
Yeah,
you
you
guys
good.
hear me and everything now?
Yeah, you good now. Knock on wood.
This is my
Yeah, you're good.
it's my first time ever coming on any show anywhere. So
Congrats. Well, welcome aboard.
yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, happy to have you here. I did that. I was telling
Well, I
everybody
appreciate that.
earlier that that's how I met a new broadcaster, because I think she said she was only on Haps for like 3 days, and I was in the middle of eating and I joined her broadcast as a viewer, and she was just inviting anybody that was a viewer to come on in, and she had Pablo in there. Pablo was helping her a little bit just to get her used to the platform or whatever, and then Yassine
Darcy?
was in there. So that was one hell of a way to meet a broadcaster. She didn't even know me or whatever. No.
Yeah, no doubt, huh?
Yeah.
Just kind of jump in and say hi,
Just
see
kinda-
what's up.
Yeah. And I was even more excited because I'm like, okay, well, Pablo's here, and like, and I know you've seen. I'm like, okay, well, at least I know 2 albums.
There you go.
So
I think she had 6 people on at
time
one
shout her
time,
out.
didn't she?
Yeah, because she was on like just a couple hours ago. Yeah, and then she had to
Okay.
get some camping equipment or whatever, so she had to, broadcast down, I guess,
Hey,
or
well,
Haps down. But
Steve
earlier.
said his nephew met one Pablo and one Toya at a Harley Davidson dealer. That's pretty cool.
I see.
Salute to the fans as you got
That's awesome.
What a push on that last lap.
It's amazing how
Got to the front stretch and it all just panned out perfectly.
Yeah, I was talking to my spotter before the restart. I was like, we got the 4 behind us. He's been pushing well all night, but he had the 12, so I know the manufacturer thing was going to be tough. And I made a decent block down the back stretch and just a heck of a push.
They just announced Kaz Grala is in the Daytona 500.
Nice.
You'll be in the back. You'll be in the back.
By Bubba, first race with his team crew chief.
Okay, so we're gonna.
He'll be in the mirror.
Okay. All right. Let me know in the
I'll put my
comments if you
headphones
need to
in
say
so I can have
anything,
a
and
mic
I'll
at
put you
least.
back on, Chris. Yeah.
No, I'm about to get off
Yeah.
anyways in a little bit. I just wanted to come on and say hi to everybody anyways, and just talk to Vince and maybe and Vince and Ryan, of course, you and everybody else. But I just wanted to bring up something to Vince. Maybe I saw your post earlier today.
On
Would you
what?
be interested in maybe doing a NASCAR show in the future?
Well, that'll be cool.
Yeah. I gotta get like I gotta get a thing together and stuff. So
All right. Let me know when you have it.
yeah. All right.
Cool.
I'm gonna drop down right now actually. So I'll talk to you guys later.
Well,
All right, Chris.
thank you for being
Yeah.
here, Chris.
have a good one,
I
Chris.
appreciate you, bud. Have a good night.
Peace.
Cool.
Where'd the Anchorman go to?
I think he's multitasking.
Probably so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always a million things to do.
Oh yeah. Not enough time, huh? It's always how it
Never
is.
enough time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this broadcasting screen is a lot different than just a viewing screen. 'Cause I don't know if you can change it or not, but you guys are just in really tiny boxes on the left side.
Yeah, I wish they were a little bit bigger. That's gonna be a. Wonder. There's only 4 of us here.
My aging eyes are having a hard time.
There we go. I could do that. I could do all kinds of silly things. That seems to work right there, the 4 of us. But yeah, I wish it wasn't so. I think I brought this up the other night, but one of the things I'm probably gonna be using in the near future when I talk about getting fancy, because I got some hardcore plans, and one of those plans is something that I don't know about you guys, but it's one thing that actually kind of annoys me, and that's just the way that the way that I think, because I'm overly critical of myself on that. But like,
Right.
when I'm like if I'm looking at you guys, or if I'm looking at the comments, or if I'm like responding, like typing to you guys, I'm not looking at you, because I'm, you know what I mean by looking at you. I'm not looking directly into the camera like I'm supposed to, and not that it matters 100% of the time, which it doesn't. We all do our own things, but yeah, I'm gonna have times where it's gonna be so obvious to the point where somebody's bound to mention that, because that's why I'm using the camera off my laptop right now. What's up, Eric? See, Eric doesn't even
I don't know why.
ask. But with my external webcam, then I'm seriously looking at 2 places, because especially if I'm like standing instead of sitting, I'm gonna be leaning over just to look at you guys, like to visually see you instead of looking at the camera looking at you. And what I want to use is, I need to try to figure out how to use a teleprompter.
Okay.
And there'll be times when, I'll be using it for the standard way a teleprompter is supposed to put an actual script in there. And mostly mine will probably end up being like bullet points or anything. But I was watching some YouTube videos where if you set it up just right, you can use it just as a second monitor. You don't have to have a script. Like if I don't have a script and just winging it, ad-libbing it, or whatever. I wonder if I can put multiple windows within the window that I have now into the teleprompter monitor.
Multiple
and then I'm
windows,
looking
like
at both things while I'm looking into the camera at the same time. So I'm seeing all 3 things all in one location. I guess that's the point of. Yeah, that's what I want to do, because I want to look at you guys as if you're like standing right in front of me, because that's, to me, that's the whole point. If I'm looking at those little boxes instead of the camera, or then I'm sitting there looking at the comments and try to put the comments and overlap them. And I'm sure with software, I could sit there and make them transparent, where I could put the comments right over top and make it even 1 window instead of 2 windows.
Oh, I bet you could.
So I don't even know who to ask, because it's not really a HAPS thing. That's more of like I need to figure out like if I can ask like a YouTuber, because a lot of YouTubers could do that. They know how, but I don't personally know a lot of YouTubers. I just watch a lot of them.
I forget the gentleman's name. He's on HAPS. He does like 2D, 3D art and overlays and things like that. And
C.S. Murphy.
And
C.S.
Yeah.
Murphy.
He was just interviewed, and he was trying to explain some of that, how he does his, where he has all of his stuff in one place, and then he has all these multiple camera angles and stuff. You know, it's pretty amazing. That'd be the guy to ask, or someone like that.
So I know how to
Even
do
maybe
multiple cameras if I have two of them running at the same time. And
Yassine would probably know it too.
oh yeah, good point.
He would probably
I can
know how
always
to,
ask
you know,
him.
flip it on there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's just a software thing. If you had the software, you could pop it up however you
Yeah,
want.
because I'm sure there's a way I can do that because I'm running Windows 10 Pro. And back in the day, I was a beta tester for back when that was 2014. So that was the Galaxy Note 4. You could do that in
Yeah.
all the notes, but that's why I love the Note so much. And I wish I still had that damn thing because you could do that on the Note. You take the S Pen, draw a box, and it'll automatically create a new window if that's what you're asking it to do. It could highlight stuff, it could translate stuff, or you can sit there and make it a whole different window where it treats it as a different app, and then you can have multiple windows on the phone. So that's basically what I'm trying to do here, but obviously, you know, just the computer version of the same thing without an S Pen or a stylus. That's why I love having a touchscreen so much, is because I sacrificed
Yeah, that would
a
touchscreen
graphics card for a touchscreen. But then again, that's why I love HAP so much, is because I just,
Okay.
you know.
This is the photo album on the NASCAR Dale Earnhardt's accident when I went to see the track. It was in Daytona in 2006.
Oh, cool.
Now, when I went there, I'm sorry to interrupt you. When I went there, it was a few years after the accident that they wouldn't let no one on the track because that track was, because of that accident, they sealed it. And of course, only the ones that were able to race on there were the only ones that were allowed. But we got access to walk on the track to take a picture where the accident, because they had where the burnout, all the tires were, they have it right there. And that's when I met the cowboy from NASCAR.
Mhm.
Because he walked in. Don't worry about me. I was skinny at the time there, so I was a little younger, but I don't mind showing myself in the pictures of NASCAR. So continue. When I get to the pictures, I'll say, here it is.
You got some cool stuff, BJ. You have like stuff for everything.
I know, right?
Yeah, hey, Bruce, hey, Vince, hey, BJ, hey, Ryan. I just want to say hi to you guys. 'Cause, you know, I came on, I was on Jim's Scope. Oh, Jim's Live.
Yeah, I think we went live at the same time, I think. He was scheduled at 11, and I was scheduled at 11 as well.
Hello, Eric.
Yeah, I was about to go to Jim's too, but I wanted to go to Ryan's.
Yeah.
So Eric was he was Bannerman's sidekick today. He was going for a ride with him.
Was he really?
Yeah, I was supposed to be riding on shotgun, Eric.
That'd be fun, Eric.
Yeah, he called me the shotgun, shotgun master or something. I don't know. Something like that.
Cool.
Shotgun rider. Shotgun rider.
Yeah, shotgun rider.
Shotgun rider. I was at work all day today, so I didn't. Started out doctor's appointment at 8:15, and then work straight after, and then.
Yeah, I worked the
not
whole day
much
too.
this day. Just kind of unwinding this evening, just relaxing a bit.
Yeah, same here.
So Vince, you do the same schedule every week? I know you're off.
Yeah, on Monday and Friday I work from 9 to 5:30. 9 in the morning till 5:30 the evening.
Gotcha.
Then I'm off the weekends.
My full-time coworker, the one that I usually take over, like in evenings on the weekdays, and I'll probably be covering for him next week because he's actually gone on vacation. What he does, he's off every weekend. Then it used to be like that, but he's off every weekend, and then what he does is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays he does what you do, 9 to 5:30,
Hmm.
and then Thursdays and Fridays he does 8:30 to 5. So I don't know why that is. Why he does it like that. He likes
Yeah,
to run
prob-
and hide. We're supposed to overlap each other for that half hour on this Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, and sometimes he'll
Mhm.
disappear. He's like that. He just, he'll be like, "Oh, I'm going to utilize the facilities," or sometimes he'll do like the recycle bins, which is nice. I mean, he waits his entire shift to get them done and sit there, and it takes that whole half hour to do both bins because we have 2 bins, one on either side of our lobby. But what's up,
Go ahead,
Eric?
BJ.
Hey,
Show your picture.
Hey,
Wait, what?
so Vince,
Mm.
you're not gonna
What?
believe this. What happened earlier on Bannerman's Live? You're not gonna believe this.
What happened?
I'm not on the screen anymore. What happened?
Trying to adjust your mic
Oh, there I am.
volume, and I'm fighting my screen.
Oh,
So hopefully,
so
I tried to do that
So you're
earlier.
not gonna believe what happened. Yeah,
There we go.
Go ahead, Eric.
yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah. So you're not gonna believe what happened earlier. Bannerman, you know how he has Rick and Nick. You know what I'm talking about, right, Vince? From the other night.
Yeah.
His twin and triplet.
So what happened was, so this is what happened. So you was on the live, and you know how
Okay, I
you
spelled that wrong. You guys can hear me, right?
You're busted. You're eating fried chicken.
You guys hear
fried chicken
Eric?
on the live,
Because I did that with
all that
Chris.
stuff.
Every time I turn down somebody's mic, I lose volume from that particular person when I'm playing with your mic, with your audio.
Remember,
And
Pablo said that tonight.
yeah, Pablo
He
knows
said
that.
he's gonna,
I can't even spell the
he's
word
gonna
right, but
fix it.
you guys get the point. So I'm going to do the same thing I did a few.
Do that hashtag glitch.
We lost
He'll come back.
Ryan.
We lost the
there
head-
he is.
We lost the head man.
There he is.
There we go.
But
Okay,
but
now I
yeah.
can hear you, Eric. Sorry about that, buddy.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead, Eric.
Uh-oh.
Steve, you
Uh-oh.
still down
Ryan's
there
having
anymore?
some problems. Ryan.
Yeah, technical glitches.
I think, yeah, Ryan's having some problems.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. we
Oh,
hear you.
he has
Yeah, I can hear-
a few
I can hear
minutes,
you.
and then
Okay.
boom, it ends.
It's like you put
Huh.
yourself in the green room and Eric's out here now.
But
Hmm.
yeah. Me and you were texting earlier. When Bannerman was live, and we were like, we were like, but you was giving me evidence of what Bannerman was eating his fried chicken and stuff, and
Ribs.
I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
no,
fried
this
chicken
was
this
fried
time?
chicken, not ribs. Ribs was the other one. This is fried chicken. I'm like, he was eating it right in front of all of us. The fried chicken. I'm like, me and you were texting each other. Like me and her were texting, and you know, she's like, you're busted. You're busted, Bannerman. Fess up. Stop eating the fried chicken in front of me, or stop Stop eating fried chicken. You know. You
Man,
know.
I thought he was
You
in
know.
his diet or something, man.
Uh,
I thought he
This,
was in a
this
diet.
is the funny part about this. This is the funny part about this. Nick is the one that's not on a diet, or is not on a diet, and Rich is on a diet. Is on the diet. So Nick is not on a diet. So this is like for him. Like he's not on a diet. Like
Nick,
Nick
Vic,
is
and
not
Rick.
on a diet, but Rich is on a diet.
Man, why is he
On the
eating
diet,
chicken?
but
Is it Mick or
I
Why is
Mick?
he
have
eating
no idea.
chicken?
I'm like
Yeah,
I'm
fried
like
chicken.
I like
You know.
when I invited you on, well not on with him, but you know I put her name in. You brought herself in and was saying all of this, and we always have fun with Bannerman. Me and you always have fun with Bannerman. Like we all have fun. Like it's all fun with me and you and everything. And Vince knows it very well. Vince knows it very well, and we always laugh about it. We always laugh about it. It's hilarious. I still remember when he had the ribs and then that song don't you want me? You know that song was on right in the middle, right when he was eating it. I'm like oh my goodness. I'm like at least on this one he didn't have music on, 'cause that would have been hilarious. That would have been hilarious if he had music on when he was eating his fried chicken, but you know,
Yeah, Bannerman
but
he keeps playing music.
I'm like
Sooner or later he's gonna get you know what?
I'm
Yeah, I
like
need to start
I'm like
eating
man.
healthier too. I
And
used to
then
hate that.
and then today, well, as of today, well, what he said to me today is he put me as his shotgun rider. And this is how it all happened. Like this is all him. So he put me on as his shotgun rider, right? Because he wanted me to. What happened with Vince? Oh, never. Maybe he had
Just
to
turn this mic and
figure
camera off.
something out.
No big deal.
But so what happened was I was his shotgun rider, but then he came on. Well, he had to end his live, and then he had to come back on, and what happened was he was eating fried chicken. And I had to invite you in, and like I'm like I had to tag her name in, and that's where it all happened. I'm like, oh man, you went off on Bannerman.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
But
Chicken isn't so bad, but fried chicken.
It was so funny. It was so funny.
Is he on a particular diet, or is it just something just
What's happening right now? What's happening right now? If anyone's hearing me, I don't know.
I can hear you, Eric.
We hear you, Eric.
Yeah, you're good.
Sorry, I had to change my clothes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't worried about it.
But yeah, Vince, you would have been there. With Bannerman and you in the well, not in the Bannerman on the live, but as Nick, and then you was in the was in the room, and oh man, I'm like, first he puts me as a shotgun rider. First he puts me that, and then he starts eating fried chicken in front of everyone. I'm like, oh my goodness.
So if you're the shotgun rider, you let him do it.
Yeah.
Right?
You're responsible, Eric.
Eric.
You put the
Being
fried
second
chicken
in command, yeah, dude.
I was on with him. He didn't even invite me yet. He was like he was eating, and then I tagged you in I tagged you in the broadcast, and then
You knocked
you
him
went
out.
all at him, and it was funny. It was funny. Me and you were laughing so hard, like, oh my goodness. I'm like,
What?
me and
Man,
you were
I can't
laughing
believe you
so
knocked out
hard.
the Bannerman.
Like, oh
You,
my
you
goodness.
turned him in.
Eric has become the
This is how me and you
Bannerman
are.
fan.
This is how me and you is, you guys. Like, me and her are like the detectives here. Like, we're finding out
Did you?
why he's eating the fried chicken, why he's not on his diet, why he's not eating the right food, having the bar in his hand.
Oh, there he is.
I'm like,
Eric, did you get a bounty for turning Bannerman into Uke?
well,
Did you get a bounty?
well, since me and her know about this, we've known it since Sunday. Oh, was it Sunday? No. Yeah, it was over the weekend. It was probably Saturday or Sunday, this past weekend. And it's when we saw him with the ribs. That's where it went off. And then Luke went live. Luke had the video. Luke had the video on her phone, and it was so funny. It was so funny. It was so funny when that even happened. I'm like, man.
Does he like
Me and
tacos?
her were laughing so hard when me and her and Bannerman, all three of us were like, uh-oh, we lost Vince, I think.
Yeah.
He's,
Popping out,
something's
back in.
going on with
Yeah.
this live or something. I don't
Eric,
know.
does he like tacos
But yeah,
or wraps?
but yeah,
Then
but
you know
yeah,
what?
but yeah,
Tacos.
but yeah. Today he was eating fried chicken, and I'm like, what's next? What's next? Like,
He could bake the
what's he
chicken.
what is Batman eating next? I'm
He
What?
like,
can
You
bake the
said it
chicken,
wasn't
or
Bannerman.
even like chicken.
no,
like,
it was his
Nick.
brother. What he's saying is his brother Nick. His
Yep.
brother Nick, but that's what he's saying. But
he has another brother named Mick.
Yeah.
Thought I saw that
And
earlier.
they all use Bannerman's profile. So, how you doing, BJ?
I'm doing okay. I just got some pictures of Daytona 500 to show y'all.
Cool.
Of the
How do I before you do that, how do I make you the bigger picture? Because I tried doing that earlier and to no success. How do I make you the how do I do what Yuke does?
That's a good question.
Because I've never done that before. How do I make you the main? I thought I'd just like click on you.
I think.
This. Oh, sorry.
Took me out.
Yeah, I think we're having
Okay,
some.
I don't want to do that.
Problems or technical problems. We're having some
Okay, so now I
problems
just
tonight.
picked you out, and then
know.
it made it smaller.
Like
But
earlier
I don't
today,
know what the option is.
on Bannerman's live, and this, I don't know if you saw it. If you saw it,
I'm trying to make him the main focus that we can show us.
I don't know if you saw it. If you saw this earlier, it said something about a linking thing. Like something was wrong with the server. Like the server was having a problem.
Huh.
And I don't know. I don't know what was going on his end. Like I don't know on
chicken server?
Bannerman's end, but
Chicken server.
oh my goodness!
It took me
Oh
a
my
second.
goodness. This was way before he even had food. This was way before he even had food. He was on his way to the bank. That's when this is not Nick. This is Bannerman. Bannerman went to the bank. And then Bannerman had to end his life for a minute because he had a well, not a minute. He went off his life. Because when you're in a bank, you can't, I guess, be a live stream or something like that. I'm guessing. There's a policy that banks have that you can't live stream in there.
I'm sure he don't. I'm sure he don't want his business being broadcast either. Because you have a camera going, you have your account numbers and everything. You don't want any of that going out.
Yeah.
Really, you don't even want the bank you deal with out. I wouldn't anyway.
And so he went off. Never saw him come back on. But then later on is when he started eating his chicken, and he put that on the live. Him eating the fried chicken and stuff. And I'm like, man.
All right, I figured out how to make you a little bit bigger, but I still can't figure out how to make BJ the number one.
That's when I was on it.
Ryan, I think she's on landscape mode.
Wait, what?
I think Yuke's on landscape mode.
When she does that, right? I was told that I am on myself too, but I can even
Yuke's on her
change it.
PC.
Like I don't have that option like before I go live.
PC and everything.
Oh no, because I know they asked me if I wanted to be landscape or portrait. Because
right,
when I
you
first
should have that option
button,
before you go live, but I don't get that option before I go live anytime. So I was able to make BJ a little bit bigger, but
when you're on a laptop,
what Yuke is able to do.
He's a lot bigger.
I never needed to ask her
we could
that
definitely,
question, but
we could definitely see pictures or whatever. But,
yeah.
Oh man, dropping
everything.
Yeah. Right, BJ.
And it's funny also. It's funny with this also. Is later on we don't know what's gonna happen on Yuke's live.
Mm-hmm. And next time I pop into her,
you never know what's
her
gonna
broadcast.
happen.
I'll ask her how she changes that back
either
and forth.
Bannerman might bring himself on. When he's in the room and stuff. If he wants to be brought up or something.
Or could be in the tutorial and stuff.
There's gonna be some problems. There's gonna be some problems with you can you can Nick. But as of him right now is Bannerman. So, but Bannerman's gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" like you know how Bannerman is. Like himself. He's like, "What are you talking about?"
Eric, there's 3 rules you need to know. 3 rules you have to know. Deny, deny, deny.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's why the existence of Mick and Nick and Rick and they're all covered. And they're not just twins, they're identical twins.
Yeah.
So who's your twin, Eric?
I don't even have one. Like when I was born, I wish I had my mom would have had twins. Like since I was born, I was hoping I would be a twin, but that didn't pan out. But I have a younger brother, but he's he's younger than me. He's only 3 years younger than me. Yeah, 3 years younger than me. But if I had a twin, a twin myself,
I'm back.
it will be really bad. Like, it'll be like, have the same eyes, same looks, same everything. I'm like, I don't want to be someone that's like the same age, same year that I was born. 1987, same year, same age, 33. Different name. Since
But
I'm Eric,
why would it be bad?
I mean, for me, I don't want to have a twin for myself. If my twin was worse than me, I would have been like, bruh. I'd be like, bruh. I'd be like, my twin will be, let me put it better way. My twin will be out there. My twin will have a job. My twin will have a car. He drives. I'm like, I don't have that. I don't have those qualities. I don't drive. I don't have a job. Whenever that day comes out, that day comes out, I don't have a job. Whenever that day is, or whenever this COVID is over with, but yeah, I would not want a twin. I want to be myself and myself only. As if I had if it was a girl twin, then that would be a different story. Because the girl twin will probably will be fraternal but not identical. Because it's fraternal. If it's a girl twin, but yeah, that did not plan out. So but man, I would not want to have
Oh, we
someone
figured it out.
that
You did it.
I'm just playing around while I'm listening to Eric.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to have that in my life, but if down the line, and my mom had another kid, then that would be a different story. But yeah, my mom only wanted boys, and that's it. So,
All right, we're gonna let BJ
so,
do what he wanted to do
but what about you?
an hour ago.
Would you want to be a twin? If you had one, would you have one?
I'll answer you as soon as BJ gets done with his show. 'Cause he's
BJ,
been waiting a
go
little
show
while.
your picture, dude.
Oh, well, so I was waiting.
Yeah, I figured it out. Sorry for the delay.
Hey, Rick, hey, call. Birdman's in. Yeah.
There we go.
When Dan Earnhardt had the car accident and his fatal car accident in 2001, I went there in 2006 to the track because they don't allow nobody on that track but the ones that work there. So I was the only one allowed to walk on the track, and did not know at the time there was no negatives, like you get a camera, you can put it on the computer. This was just, it was coming about. I took a Polaroid, and Polaroids don't exist no more. Now, I only got 3 pictures of the track. One shows the skin marks of the accident, and one shows, where they film it. Okay, this is Daytona when it was closed.
Wow.
And of course, this is the
Oh, no
speed
kidding.
track when they start to go, to start off.
Man.
And here's the fatal skin marks of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Dale Earnhardt car that got hit. I was the only one allowed on the track. Now,
Man,
Oh
This
wow.
ain't no you could
may he
download
rest
it.
in
No,
peace.
this that's a Polaroid camera picture. And I just wanted to show you, in case if you ever go to NASCAR, the Daytona 500, you actually will still see those skin marks there. And there you
Can't
go.
imagine how his son feels.
His son was destroyed it.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, he runs the same tracks, the same circles. He does everything his dad did. It's
Right.
man.
And still from this day, they still talk about it. The ones that worked with him, they talk about it. But they also let the son have his car. And he has his car. I saw the car. And also, I mean, they fixed the car up. But you could remember that fateful day when that accident happened.
Yeah, I don't think anybody will forget that. Even people that don't watch NASCAR. That was
Right.
pretty horrific.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, I even have other pictures when I was at the racetrack. At the time, I was with somebody else. I don't want to show that picture because it'll piss somebody off. I don't want that to happen. But these are the legitimate pictures of me, the only one. I mean, because they can allow people that could get, invited to go, but I was chosen by guests to go to the track. That was my first time going, and only time. Yeah, and I did pass by the Charlotte Speedway lots of times. Amazing track. But if you ever set foot to one track, you feel like, wow, it's a big track.
Wow.
So there you
Thanks
go.
for sharing, BJ.
There you go. That's all.
Thank you, BJ. Appreciate that.
No
Yeah,
problem.
definitely.
No problem.
What's our buddy Vince up to?
So Vince, you just relaxing, just hanging out, huh?
Yep.
Cool.
What about? Oh yeah, you had your food earlier. He had Burger King earlier. I was looking at his food on Facebook, and his burger was making me hungry. I'm like, ah.
Oh, I bet.
So,
Yeah.
Eric, to answer your question, if I had a twin, I could handle it just fine, but the world couldn't. Someone will ask me, how you doing today? And I'll say, man, if I was any better, there'd be two of me. And my wife always says the world couldn't handle that. So she's just teasing, Yeah, I mean, if I was a twin, it'd be all right. No problem, because you're still an individual. You're still yourself, and they're their self. You have someone you can blame stuff on, just like Bannerman does. And if you don't have one, you can create a twin, right?
Yeah, you can make a clone.
What about you, Vince? You got any twins?
No, sorry. No twins in my family. No, if my mother had a twin boy, had a twin, I'll go, hi, good to meet you. I'll just bring the other one.
Despite COVID, there's a town not far from where I live called Twinsburg, Ohio.
Oh, there is?
Twinsburg.
Uh-huh.
Where's that at?
I think it's east of my location, I think.
Okay.
I want to say east. But the reason why I mention
There's
that
so
is
many places in
because
Ohio.
they have a Twins event at least once a year.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool, Ryan.
Remember that movie way back in the 80s? I think it was in the 80s, Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
Yeah, I remember that movie. Cool. Good movie.
That was a funny movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I lied. Not east of me. It is just a little bit north of me. Kind of northwest, but almost pretty much north. So this will be very difficult to see. Let me see here. Okay, I'm going to do this for a second. All right, so obviously I'm the blue dot, and then if it'll be difficult to see. But
That's
you
actually
can read
really
that, but it
clear.
says that in the red.
Twinsburg.
Okay, I see it. Yeah.
Twinsburg. Yeah. Kind of hard to read,
there
but a
is
little bit
Twinsburg.
there.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to double check. So, yeah. Not
That's
very
cool.
far. Not too far. That'd have been maybe a 15-minute drive, if that.
Is that with or without traffic?
Birdman.
Is that with or without traffic?
Is that what?
Oh, hey, there's the Birdman. Caw, caw.
What's up, Birdman?
Is that with or without traffic?
Standard traffic. I want to say maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20 with the lights, depending on the time of day or so. Just because, you don't need to hop on the highway from just,
Right.
Main roads, but not side roads or anything. But yeah, because where I'm at now, like Kent is east of that's Portage County, and then like where I work is in Summit County, which is in Stowe, and then it's just directly north from Stowe because I have Hudson, and then there's
My
Twinsburg.
son used to live in Stowe. We used to go up there all the time.
Oh, no kidding.
And
Stowe's
yeah,
nice.
and
Been there
now,
since '92, and I still work in Stowe.
Really?
Uh-huh.
My cousin
Pitbull. What's up?
Was in Stowe, but now he moved to Hudson. But he's been there ever since he graduated college. So he's probably been
Cool.
there a good 35 years.
So you're very familiar with Kent State University, I take it, because I'm literally like right next to the university. Like I can walk out the door where I'm sitting down. I'm like walking distance. Like I'll be on
awesome.
campus in like 5 minutes on
You
foot.
like, that's cool. You're right in the middle of campus.
Pretty much.
That's
Yeah.
cool, dude.
Yeah, we have
My
dorms
cousin
like
Alice
right next
went
to
to
us.
Kent State back in the 70s when they had that big deal went on there. I can't. It was like I think it was either a shooting or a rapist or something like that. I can't.
There was
remember
a
the
shooting
details,
in
but
1970, and I don't know if you saw any of my replays from Periscope, from my Periscope days, but it used to be a yearly thing where this year would be my 4th year doing it. I want to say my 4th year. Coming up on my 4th year doing it, but I broadcast about the May 4th, 1970 events every year. So this will be my 4th year, 3 years on Periscope, and this will be my first on Haps doing it this May 4th. But I take off a few days before that or whatever, and I try to do as much as I can. There's stuff that they do, and it's a little bit different. It's like the same thing every year, but it's a tiny bit. The individual plans are a little bit different because they have like different speakers every year. Sometimes different venues, usually on campus. So some of them, like last year, I couldn't do some of them because a lot of the speeches I'm dealing with copyright issues. And then sometimes they have
Yeah.
their own film crews, like professional film crews anyways. And then I'm fighting with the actual film people from the news broadcasters from, because all three of our news agencies come in. Well, technically 4. So Channel 3, Channel 8, Channel 5, and then the CBS ones. But with the exception of last year, I didn't do the May 3rd. The night of May 3rd, we do the candlelight vigil, and we walk around the entire campus in silence,
Oh,
holding
that's nice.
actual candles. And it's an
That's
organized thing that professors and they have some kind of group. I'm not sure that's in relation to not only the May 4th event, but they do all the planning. Like a lot of the planning is usually just students, and then faculty just kind of oversees it, and then they approve it, and then they get big time people in to do speeches. Some of them controversial, some of them, I think 2 years ago there was an actual survivor talked. So I could do some things, but like hopefully, what is it? Okay? So it's what, February? So February, March, and April. I doubt that'll happen this year as far as the walk itself will happen. Maybe a couple of us, maybe because of this COVID crap going on.
Yeah.
But I will do the tour like I do every year, and I did that last year despite COVID. Go to
That's
the
all, man.
memorial, and that's a 15-minute walk from where I'm sitting right now. And that's why I'm
I'm not
liking
sure
that
who
I can do it
Chris
here.
is. I'm not sure who Chris is addressing, but he asked someone if they were a Kent State graduate. Maybe you.
Am I a
Ryan.
Kent State grad? No. I did not and do not attend Kent State. So I just happen to live very close, Chris. Now everybody knows. But no, not an actual student. I know a lot of students, obviously, but no.
Wait, Ryan, I want to thank you so
expensive.
much for having me up. I think I'm going to drop
Yeah,
down, but I
likewise.
appreciate you inviting me
Definitely.
up, and I've enjoyed the discussion with you and talking to you, gentlemen. And I'll
Yeah.
probably just drop down into the comments.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, you're always welcome aboard. as
I
I say.
appreciate that, sir.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, nice chatting with you.
Very nice chatting with you.
Yeah,
I'll talk to y'all
likewise.
from the comments.
Definitely.
All right. Okay.
There
All
we
right,
go.
how you doing?
Cool.
How you doing, Rick?
What's up, PJ?
How you doing, Ryan? How you doing, Eric?
I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. What about you, Eric?
When he does that, I know what I mean.
What I've been relaxing earlier, or earlier, and that's why I was at. I was relaxing earlier.
Wait,
Cool.
where's Bruce? He dropped out?
Yeah, he's said he's going to be in the comments with us, so he's still here. I think. Yeah. He just. So. See, I'm almost there. 2:39. It's a flow magical.
See, I like to make Eric and Vincent everything up plan because I know it's gonna crack everybody up.
Took me a second. I almost thought you were referring to a different flow, like an actual person flow, and then I sit there and realize what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah, we call it the flow.
Mm-hmm.
The John, aka the toilet.
Yep. I see.
Oh, okay.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah.
So,
I actually have my dinner with me. My dinner.
Yeah. I had Red Lobster for dinner tonight.
My din. Show you my din.
Oh,
There you go.
come on.
Wait.
There you go. Din. My din.
Yummalicious. That's what my grandma used to say. She would say yummalicious.
Right.
Yummy and then delicious and combine those two words.
Yummy.
Yeah. Right on, dude.
So I'm gonna be eating. Go ahead, continue, guys, while I eat.
Yeah. So we had a bit of luck. You know, I'm with the aviation stuff, so there was a bit of luck. There's a lot that I don't know about it, but what I do know is, and I've flown out of Pittsburgh International many times. It's a nice airport. Nothing terribly special, but you know, still not terribly far from where I live. It's actually not too far. But I guess there was an airplane. It didn't crash, but it had what's called a runway excursion earlier today, and those souls on board were really lucky this morning. I think it happened this morning. It was a Delta Airlines flight. It was a Boeing 717, and apparently there were 77. I think there were 77 people on board. I don't know if it was 77 passengers or 77 total souls. I think it was 77 total. And they overran the runway earlier. 45 minutes from PA. Okay. No, not too bad. A lot closer than me. But then I'm probably hour 15, hour 20, depending on traffic. About an hour 20, I want to say. But yeah, they exited the runway earlier, and as far as I understand, I think nobody got hurt. But so I don't know. That might have been weather related. That happens a lot too. That happens more often than. Let me see if I can find it. If there's a story about it, I'm sure there is. Going to one of my aviation apps right now. See what I can find about it. There we go. Let's see. It's an Atlanta-bound Delta 717 slid off of the taxiway at Pittsburgh International Airport on Wednesday night. So if you guys aren't familiar with the 717, it's just the older, shorter version of like the MD-80, MD-90 series from McDonnell Douglas / Boeing, because Boeing bought them out years and years ago. So 2 engines in the back, and then a T-tail where the horizontal stabilizers on top of the vertical fin. That's what one would look like. It says 717 with the registration November 998 Alpha Tango was about to depart Pittsburgh as flight Delta Airlines 2231 around 6:30 p.m. So it actually happened this evening. I thought it happened earlier than that. When it slid off the taxiway, a total of 77 people, including 5 crew members, were on board. One of the passengers tweeted, in quote, "My plane slid off the runway because a random snowstorm, and I've been stuck on a plane that is at the edge of a ravine for almost 2 hours." So Bruce Bannerman, welcome. You welcome on board. Thank you for the Got Talent Award. Bannerman, thank you for the Super Heart Award, Uke. And you guys know the procedure. Yes, don't have to, but you guys do have invitations if you want. Both of you are more than welcome to come on up. But I thought I'd share that just because the pictures were Bruce is in the comments. He was here a little bit ago, but Bruce, you might be familiar with that, but with Pittsburgh. But yeah, at the end of one of the runways is a ravine. So if the airplane point is if the airplane went any farther than what it did, the outcome would be a lot different today. It would have made like international headlines. That's how lucky they are today. The 77 souls. So still rare in the commercial industry, but it happens. These are older, very, very old aircraft. Look at me, I'm trying to drink my water with the cap still on. Oh, you feel ugly today, so okay. All right.
Thanks for the invite. I feel ugly.
No worries.
All good. All good, you. All good.
It would have been very, very bad. Very, very bad. Like the aircraft was still in one piece, mostly. But it wouldn't have been. Eric, you okay, dude?
Yeah.
Okay. I was referencing Uke's comment. We gotta take care of you. So, oh, flying cars. Yeah. Holy crap. You know what happened a couple days ago? I think it was yesterday. I want to say yesterday. United Airlines bought 200 flying cars. These obviously they don't exist, but it's a new startup.
Wait, what? They got 200 cars? 200 flying cars?
Again, I'm going to find the story because I know I saved it in my Flipboard. So that's what I'm looking at now. I'm not even sure exactly what the heck they even look like. Okay. United just ordered 1 billion with a B. $1 billion worth of the acronym is eVTOLs, or vertical takeoff and landing. So almost like a flying car kind of thing, from a startup that aims to launch intercity passenger flights in 2024. So these don't even exist. These are from a startup. And they're saying 2024, which is very surprising because although most of you all here are not familiar with FAA regulations, I am. And in order for United to be successful in this, and how soon 2024 is compared to right now, 3 years, they have to. The FAA is going to have to change a lot of regulations to allow them to do this. So that's gonna be the interesting part. It's a startup called Archer Aviation to provide environmentally friendly airport transportation. A startup founded by Brett Adcock and Adam Goldstein, backed by Jet.com founder Mark Lohr, expects to debut the first full-scale model of this year and begin passenger flights in 2024. United will perform intercity services in partnership with Mesa Airlines. It's an airline that already exists. Mesa is a That's right, Bruce. Yes. And not only that, if you guys are familiar with Terrafugia, just got their FAA certification as well. And I met the engineers from Terrafugia, which is a German company, but that actually is a flying car. And a matter of fact, I can show you a picture of what the Terrafugia is. And it's not what that story just was, but if I
Nice.
oops, there we go. So those wings there, they fold up to the side. They fold up and then backwards. And you can literally drive it like a car. So this is FAA certified now as a support pilot. So if I wanted to, I could fly it if I wanted to, having a sport pilot certificate. But I don't have 400 grand either, so that's what they're saying. That sucker's gonna cost.
Where's Banner and his fake bro, Nick?
There's Banner in this pic. He was here. I don't know. Is he still here? He popped in and gave an award. Bannerman, you still here, Rich?
I think
Know
he
about the
dropped
fighter
out.
jet. My cousin
He was here,
flew his logo was
but I think he dropped out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my cousin, the one that passed away, he had a fighter jet named El Loco.
Here he is.
Yeah. He
What's going on?
Hey,
Hey.
Bannerman.
I was bleeding.
How you doing?
Hello, Ben.
Welcome aboard.
No,
I was bleeding. I had to stop at the store and get a Band-Aid.
Ah,
Oh, there you are, Richard. There you are.
Guys. What's happening? Anchorman, what's up, buddy?
Long time no see.
No joke. Where the hell you been?
I've been doing lives.
You been doing lives? I hadn't been in a lot of lives. I got Kami mad at me right now.
let's see.
Kami's mad at me. I didn't see her in Ukes today whenever I was in Ukes, or somebody's, I was in Ukes, yeah. Man, I was falling asleep, bro. I was so tired. I talked to somebody this morning about 6 o'clock in the friggin' morning, and then I couldn't go to sleep all day.
Mm-hmm.
All day, and I was tired tonight.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I got me a nap.
So,
and
Bannerman.
Yeah.
So you wanted me to tell you something. That's bothering me for that happened a little bit earlier. That has
What?
been bothering me.
What?
What? Uh-oh.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Well,
Uh-oh.
it's nothing. It's something that's been bothering me.
Hey, tell
You
me.
know how you know how wait,
Hold on, I'll mute
let
myself.
me, there we go. You know how you made me your shotgun rider on your live?
Yeah.
Well,
You don't want me to shotgun?
yeah. So there has been some people that has been bringing it up, and you know, I was telling me and you were texting, we were DMing each other, and I mean, like there has been some people that has been bringing it up.
Okay.
Out and and it's been bothering me, and
What's up? Eric, what's bothering you, bro? Just tell me what's bothering you about it. What's bothering you? I mean, I can help
Yeah.
you.
I mean,
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Say it out. Say it out.
Support you,
Say
dude.
it out, Eric.
But tell me, man,
It's
because
the
that was.
Well,
Can I say something before you say that? That was just something as a thing of affection and love toward you. It wasn't anything to try to embarrass you or anything like that. You was just like I mean, I could come up with you could still be the host. If you just want to say host, that was just it wasn't anything meant for any harm. It was like a tear of endearment type deal. I mean, I could say you just my host. Is that better?
yeah. I feel more better as being a co-host and not anything else.
Okay, well, let's just say that because that was just a term, man. It wasn't meant as anything. It's just like it's like you. In other words, when I say shotgun rider, you're basically when you're up there, anybody can be a shotgun rider. You're basically just you're controlling everything, right? I'm driving. I'm not controlling anything. The shotgun rider's controlling everything. But if that's as simple as it is, man, you still my co-host. All that was just a term.
Yeah, I like being called co-host better than shotgun rider. I like co-host better.
Well, let's just go back to co-host. That was my deal. Like I say, that wasn't nothing meant to cause any trouble or harm, or that was just something that was like you taking care of everything up there for me.
Yeah, that's an honor to have, despite what you call it.
dude. If I was a shotgun rider, I'll be honored with that. Man. Shoot.
Yeah, that's
That's
hell
all
of a privilege.
That's all that meant, buddy.
Yeah.
So we back square.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Because you do a great job up there, man. You do a fantastic job with people.
Yeah.
You know what else though? Those shotgun riders back in Cowboy days, they used to do a fantastic job with those people too. You know what they'd do? They'd shoot their ass when they tried to rob them. Billy the Kid and all them guys tried to rob them plane dudes. They had them cats up there. Bow, bow, bow. Must have been a hell of a life. Ride through the West and some of them old covered wagon days like you used to carrying mail. Well, that's good. I mean, I don't even know what was said. I mean, I know what my intentions were by it. So whatever was said, I hate that I caused anything. But it was just basically me saying that Eric's in charge of everything. He's my shotgun rider. That's all it was. So whatever was said about it, I hate that it happened. I apologize for it to you because I was the one that said that. And I guess I never did really ask you, come to think of it. I just sort of said, hey, man.
Yeah, you let me know about it.
Yeah, I did. I said, you're my shotgun rider. You should have told me right then. I don't like that. But I can see why you wouldn't. But I'm glad you're telling me now, bro. That's how we do it, right? If I don't know about it, then I can't change it. But now that I know about it, bam, I change it. Done. I'm gonna not smoke a cigar kind of event.
So one thing I missed.
So we good? Are we good? And I'll apologize, Eric. I asked you to forgive me because I really properly asked you to begin with. I just sort of hung you with that title. So do you forgive me?
Eric.
Yeah.
Benjamin asked you a question. Richard asked you a question.
I said I'm sorry that I said that, called you that. Yeah, I apologize, but I'm asking you to forgive me. Do you forgive me for that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll move on.
Yeah.
I thought you would, Eric. You're a pretty good guy. You're pretty understanding.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I get another shotgun rider? If I call somebody else my shotgun rider? Could you recommend another shotgun rider for me? Maybe what about Vince? Vince, would you be a good shotgun rider?
Vince, I don't know why your mic is.
Vince is on mute. Now he's not. Now he'll say it.
I took him off mute just so he can answer.
So guys, continue. I'm gonna mute.
Okay. I'll mute you. I got you.
You muted
Oh,
him?
Sweet Pea.
Or Sweet
Yeah,
Pea?
he's just trying to be respectful. Hey, Leslie, welcome aboard.
Maybe Sweet Pea could be my shotgun runner. Oh yeah, maybe Hugh Berry. What about Hugh Berry, Ryan? There you go. What about you? You could
Well,
take
I wanted to apologize because I not that I really owe any apologies or anything,
Wait,
but
hold
I
on,
kind of
Richard. I don't
felt
think
bad
you
because
both
I was on and off last night because I wasn't in here. I just kind of like just relaxing all night last night, and I popped in to a couple broadcasts for like a couple seconds. Like I was all over the place, but because I was using my phone on data or whatever, and I can't do it for extended lengths of time. Otherwise, use all my data on one night, which I have done, by the way. But I heard you were quite upset last night, you. So I apologize for missing that, but
very upset.
is that something that I need to know of? Because I got kind of a wind of who it might be, which I think I know him, or at least I think I know who it is. And that's why I wanted to issue the apology, because not that I know anything different than anybody else, but
Yep, she got it all. I think that issue's being worked on.
well, she was talking about a guy that I've never really.
Yeah.
Because let's just say this, I've never really considered myself friends or even mutuals with him, but I've known him for years. Is that who you were talking about last night? You guys were talking about last night was Pat?
Hey, Ron.
Pat Voss?
Yeah. Hey, Ron, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna drop down in the comments, but listen, I'm gonna say this about you.
Hey, Leslie.
I got a lot of respect for you, man. You are a very.
Well, thank you, sir.
You're sort of like when I was working. I used to love to have people like you around, because whenever I would get, I would get in a heated thing with some foreman or something like that. I always had somebody that was he'd bring me back down to you. One of those type dudes that you don't just put out words. You think about what you say, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, bud.
All right.
Thank
Likewise.
You
yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah. And you're welcome here anytime.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Bobby.
What's up, Bobby?
Newport Beach. Cool place. But that's the reason why I brought that up, is because I don't know if that's something that I need to be aware of too.
Yeah, you
but
might want
I
to
thought I would ask her while she's in here in the comments.
Yeah, because actually you deleted that broadcast.
Okay. Yeah. No due disrespect to anybody, but I have a habitual habit. I did on Periscope all the time, but regardless of whether it's myself or somebody else, but I have a nasty habit of not watching people's live or replays anyway, so.
And it's no big deal, dude.
Okay.
What's done is done. So let's move on from that.
No, I saw his comment.
He's actually driving.
Huh.
So you can't read comments. He's actually driving.
Oh, yeah. Just like my problem. I had that a few.
So don't type anything from Bannerman because he's actually driving. So don't do that.
Exactly, Bannerman. We are family, and that's the best thing. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, we're all of one. I referenced this the other night. I treat this just like the old Army slogan back in 2004 was Army of One, and we're broadcasters of one, or viewers of one. We're all equal, all individuals at heart, but yeah.
Hey, Ryan, we have a problem. You can't see Bobby's comments. I think Bobby has Uke blocked.
We don't know that for sure, but
Yeah, somehow, you can't see his see what
That's
he's
what the rest
saying.
of us for. We can always back her up, or anybody that needs to. That's why I just mentioned that, because I had that same problem the other night when I was fighting with my microphone boom mic. I was having a WWE match with my boom mic, and then next thing I know, the first third of the daggone comments were gone. And then that's when Eric just stepped to the plate without even asking, or without being
I
asked
did
to,
it.
rather. And because Eric, that you do that naturally, anyways. At
Yeah, he
will,
was done.
and that was to say that it was a tremendous help is almost an understatement, because there's like to give you everybody that's here now, like Debbie and Leslie. I don't know if you guys were here that other night, a few nights ago, but like I'll give you an example. Like Bobby's saying, like, nice mic, Brian. So again, thank you. You know, works awesome for a $15 microphone, but like the first third of the comments were off. So I would see like Mike Ryan, or just see Ryan. And that's what happened the other night. And Eric was just reading off comments, and I'm like, damn, that's a huge, huge help. You know. What's up, Chris?
Hello, Chris.
Chris watching on is that Periscope or Twitter? Watching on Twitter, I think.
Periscope.
Watching on Periscope. Okay. Cool. Good deal.
Spitz, you're making me hungry again.
I can't do
You're
that.
making me hungry,
Debbie.
man.
I would.
I want.
This is why you said no eating food on her live.
Yeah, well, we're not on our live, Eric.
No, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you were eating, I'll be like, Jim will be like, oh my god, she'll be. Hey Vince, remember what happened when she had Fraser on? You know,
Yeah.
like I'm like, oh man. I'm like, lucky I'm not eating right now. Lucky I'm not eating right now.
Crazy time. You're terrible. You're terrible.
Yeah, I can't do that. I
You're
can't have
terrible.
tomato sandwiches or anything like that, because
You're
I
terrible.
would have a major reaction. At least I think I would. But yeah, I'm allergic to tomatoes, and the story goes that the only reason why I know I'm allergic to tomatoes is because of one of those allergy tests that the doctor does when you're young, or whatever age you happen to be at, and whatever, you lay on your stomach and they poke your back with a whole bunch of needles. And tomatoes happen to be one of them, where, ever since that day, and I was probably like 6 or 7 when they did that, and then they did that, I think, again, when I was like in the 9th grade, I think, and it still came out, whatever. But the idea is, like, I can have pizza in moderation. I can have Chef Boyardee as long as I'm careful. I've had tomato soup, no reaction. Not like it feeling weird or feeling different than I would be before, but the theory is that if I ate raw tomato, so not that anybody would eat a tomato like a apple, but or putting slices on a sandwich, if you will. But won the match in the mic, or did I win? I think we'd call it a tie. Because this is a whole different boom that you're seeing now, are part of.
I remember that one that you went.
So the boom is still in my unit. But what you guys are seeing now, pardon the
food.
There you go. Let me do this for a second.
Vince is making everybody hungry. Why? Why?
That, you guys can see that. All right, I think you guys get the point. But the hinge is the way it's supposed to be, unlike earlier, like the other one. What was happening was Have you really, Bruce? I've never known anybody to eat a tomato like that, so that's why I said that. Not that anybody wanted, but I don't know. I thought it would be unusual, but unusual to my what I'm used to seeing. But hey, I
Wait, who
respect
eats
that.
tomato?
Huh?
Who eats tomatoes? Like an apple?
I guess so. Like I work at a grocery store and I bought a tomato. Like I couldn't do that. You know, just pick it off the thing or whatever. But hey, I respect that, you know. But yeah, this is a totally different boom, and what it's technically designed for is I have a it's like a floor mount thing, and the idea is so you can hold your phone. It holds the phone for you, or if you have a bigger mount, you can put like your iPad or whatever tablet if you want to, if you have a bigger one, and straight out of the garden, awesome. And while you're just sitting at home relaxing, sitting at the table or sitting in a chair at home, and it holds your phone. You can put the phone just like how the microphone is in front of my mouth right now. Same idea. And I realized that the joint up here is almost the same thing. It was just a ball joint, and I'm like, well, now I have two of them. I have a straight one, and the straight one will fit the microphone. The ball one won't. So I took the ball joint out and replaced it with a straight one, which is it's the same thing. It just has the ball joint, and then the phone mount itself goes into the ball joint, and then sit there and you can move the phone however the heck you need to, I guess. And I'm like, well, duh, I could do the same thing.
At least you solved it.
And because it's the same mount that goes into the table clamp, what it's sitting on now, and I could just, I have to. This right here, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I could just loosen this up. I have to take this whole thing off. So there's a screw in here. Take this whole thing off. There's two plates in here that tighten. So that's all this does. This knob here, and that's how it tightens. The threads on here on the shock mount here are a little loose, but that's because it's a cheap shock mount.
Vince, look who's here.
So,
Uh-oh.
Yeah, would you?
so what's up? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. No disrespect, or anything, but
His name is Jay. Ryan.
What's his name, Eric? Jake?
Jay.
Oh, Jay. Jay. Okay, nice to meet you, Jay. Thank you for watching on Twitter or Periscope. Appreciate you.
How you been, Jay?
Bannerman's back.
I am back.
Yeah, you are.
Everybody,
welcome back.
Well, got a question for everybody. You was talking about a tomato right a while ago, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, let me ask everybody a question. When you go to a grocery store and you're shopping for grapes, do you try a grape while you're in there, or do you just buy that pack of grapes and not try it?
I don't personally know. I have seen customers do it. I don't really say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Does it rub our heads a little wrong way as supermarket workers? Maybe, because they're just touching the grapes, and somebody else might not like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I can't stop you.
Anchorman, what about you?
Wait, what?
I said, what about you, Anchor?
Well, when I shop, I do try one, but before that, I wash it off.
Where do you wash it at?
There's a faucet next to the fruit that we can rinse it off.
Really? I just try one. I've never bought a pack of grapes. I've never bought a bunch of grapes that I didn't at least try one. And if you look at all the grapes, all of them usually open. They're open for a reason.
Mhm.
But some people do, some people don't. Down here, I think it's more common down here than what it is anywhere.
Okay.
You know, people just. I mean, do you ever buy like 2 or 3 big, 1 pound things of grapes? You get home and then they're not sweet or something. They're not good.
Yeah, that's got to be the worst.
It is the worst.
With COVID exceptions or whatever, and even I'm not terribly 100% familiar with them, but under normal circumstances, the company that I work for is not only you get your double your money back.
Mm-hmm.
It's only Giant Eagle brands or Market District. Otherwise, you just get refunded, and then you get a replacement on top of that too.
Yeah. I think the worst thing, Ron, is buying a watermelon from a grocery store. And then if the watermelon's no good, what do you do with it? I don't want to take a watermelon all the way back up to the grocery store and show them. How do you do that?
It's just a matter of trust. Like I don't work in customer service as far as I mean, I don't work behind the desk of customer service or anything, but if you come up, if I were to put myself in my coworker's shoes and say that I just bought some watermelon and it sucks or I'm not satisfied.
Yeah.
I don't even know, sometimes I don't even want to know why, but on other cases I do want to know why, just to see if maybe that's not the only one that has that problem. But at the same time, you tell me it's have a problem, I'm going to either replace and refund that with very little questions to ask, because that's how we are. That's how our customer service at Giant Eagle is. And we own up to that, because it's sit there and you tell me that your cake is destroyed.
Yeah.
Or your watermelon is crap.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely no problem. You're more than welcome to grab another one.
Cool.
Yeah. So we have good systems in place. That's why I'm proud of where I've been for technically, over 20 years, but my time restarted back in 2005, so they count 15 years most recently. But
yeah. And I saw earlier using the aviation. I'm in the aviation a little bit. I follow it quite a bit. And,
awesome.
You remember when Payne Stewart got on that plane and it was going on autopilot because they all passed out in the cockpit?
Yeah. I don't remember the details. I can look that up. But point being, I definitely, at the time, obviously I did hear about that, and, him, rest in peace.
Here's a better question than that. Don't nobody Google it. Let's just go by memory. How many musicians can you name right now that we've lost due to an airplane crash or a helicopter crash? Any names come to hand? Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Horrible.
Yeah, I know a few.
Well, let's go with
it.
I know more than necessary. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I know a few. I know a few that died in a plane crash. I know a few musicians. One is Richie Valens. That's one of them.
Yep.
One is the Big Bopper. And then one is Buddy Holly. They were all three of them were in the same plane, and they all died together in a plane crash.
So that's 4. That's Stevie Ray and those 4. And then that guy Troy Gentry that played with Montgomery Gentry. He died in a helicopter crash.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, right before everybody was starting. I was doing a short and sweet version of what the NTSB was found about Kobe Bryant's crash last year.
Yeah, well, there's Kobe, and you think about all of our NASCAR stars, Davey Allison, who else? It just, but you know what's funny? Ron? I've got a defense attorney, and do you know who he told me he has more crashes than anybody in airplanes, especially private airplanes? Who would you think that would be?
More crashes than anybody.
Yeah, more than anybody that travels. Who crashes?
That's one of my favorite flaws is remember names off the top of my head.
What career? Let's just say, what career of a person dies in a plane crash more than anybody else?
Well, I know one legendary singer that was in a plane crash, Patsy Cline.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what I was thinking, GA.
the answer to my question is doctors and lawyers. Doctors and lawyers become pilots. They get these planes and they think that they can fly, and they say that they are killed more than anybody else that flies in airplanes because they just don't go by procedure.
I was thinking individuals, but yeah, type of
You're breaking up, Richard.
individual. Yeah, as far as profession, yes, he's right. Bannerman's absolutely right on the money on that.
Isn't that crazy, Ryan?
It's nuts. You know, we'll talk about not to self promote, but we'll get into the Kobe thing tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe, man.
It'll be more elaborate. I didn't want to do that at 11 o'clock at night. Now it's 2 right now because that's some hardcore details in there.
Oh
and
man,
then all rest in peace for all 8 people. But that helicopter, what exactly happened to Kobe, point being, is that is not a new occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
It just brought to our attention more face to face and kind of one of those where, like, one of those wake up scenarios, like, hey, we need to wake up as an aviation community. But time and time and time again, helicopter pilots are going to do the same thing that Kobe Bryant's helicopter pilot did. And they don't think twice. They feel very safe. Their passengers feel very safe. And normal is probably the wrong word, but it's more frequent option where you're visual, they call them VFR, and you're flying basically in the clouds. And like I said, we'll get into that tomorrow, but because there's whole acronyms involved and everything, and that's my goal, is to layman's terms or whatever, but they call that special VFR or whatever. Something I'm not allowed to do as a pilot. They are allowed to do. And that's why it actually gets them into trouble. But then at the same time, it could get you to your destination.
But
too.
Roger, don't you agree that there's a lot of pressure by the people that owns those helicopters to get those birds going? They want them things flying, man.
Yeah, we'll mention about that too. The NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, says that they call it self-induced. They don't directly mention it, but there are sources that do indicate that Kobe himself and then 7 others did not pressure his pilot to fly that day. But the pilot himself had pressure. As far as pressure, that's all they go into on that 1,600-page report.
But Ryan, they never do. You get somebody like Kobe, man, they're wanting to go. They're going to take that chance, bro.
Yeah.
They're going to take it. That's
what we call it, Bannerman? You know what we call it in the aviation industry?
What's that?
Get their itis.
Yeah, but that pilot,
it'll kill you. It's that go, no-go decision.
Yeah.
It'll kill you.
Yeah. And you got
anybody.
Kobe, and you got Kobe Bryant that you're flying, and you got competitors out there would love to have his business. You say, no, I don't think we're going to fly today. And then you damned if you do and you damned if you don't. If you don't do it, then he's going to get pissed. And then if you do it, look what happened.
Right.
Slippery slope.
Yeah, it is a very slippery slope. I mean, if I'm somebody's pilot, if I'm any of your pilots, if I upgrade my license, I mean, that'll be a rule that I'll have to say. I'd rather you get pissed at me because the weather's too bad all day long. Whether the company that I work for or if I'm doing it by myself, if we're losing money, then, does that keep you safe and hopefully prevent a future accident or incident? I do that all day long. Because I have, even as a sport pilot, or I fly for fun, I've had get their itis before. And, I've never had to the point where it caused any problems, but there's times when I still could have waited or slowed down a little bit, if you will.
Have you ever been in a bad situation in a plane, Ryan?
Oh, yes.
Not for real. For training, yes. But I've never... There's one time that I almost got lost. But as far as mechanical issues, anything like that, knock on wood,
Well, Shane.
I haven't had an issue as of yet. But there was one time that I thought I went into a different airspace and I thought out where I was, and it was just a simple communication with air traffic control, and no rules or laws were broken or anything. But
Yeah, what about John Kennedy Jr., man? How many
oh yeah,
pilots crash because they're not properly, they get these planes and they upgrade, and they, like him, he wasn't properly instrument trained, they said.
he had his instrument certificate, but that's what they do go into that. I don't think he was current. When you have your instrument certificate, you have to maintain a currency of every 6 months. You have to get a checkout every 6 months. So it's not like renewing your license. This is, you go with an examiner and they just make sure that you're up to speed on things. I'm not sure exactly what the requirements are, but like with fixed wing airplanes, off the top of my head, you would have to make certain types of approaches. So it's a little bit different with helicopters, I'm sure. And then he wasn't even allowed to fly IFR due to company rules. Anyways, so even fixed wing pilots do it. What he was trying to do is what we call scud running, and that's when you're flying just below the clouds and maintaining visual reference to the ground of VFR. That's what that is. It's called scud running, and that's what a lot of medical helicopters do that too. They do a lot of scud running, and then he pulled up as an emergency procedure. He pulled up. He got with 100. When he was in the clouds, or they were in the clouds rather. They were 100 feet from breaking from the top of the clouds. I don't know if he knew that or not. I don't think he did. And then that's where the spatial disorientation, because that's the actual cause of the incident, is what.
But let me stop you right there and ask you a very important question. And
Yes,
that's
sir.
when he's up there in those clouds and he does not have instruments, he don't know which way he's going, does he?
That's why the accident happened.
So he has no idea if he's going straight up or down.
The answer, Bruce, said that's what a helicopter or rotary wing helicopter or rotary wing aircraft, such as the one that Kobe was in. But yeah, that's where the spatial disorientation, because now you have to keep your hands on the controls on a helicopter at all times. You don't have autopilots. You can't just turn on the machine and the machine will fly for you or help you fly. So they go into explicit detail where, and even I've felt that before too. A lot of us will feel that is, that's why you have to have a medical certificate to be a pilot, because one of the things they check on your body is your ears. And inside your ears are tiny bones, okay? And that's how you keep your balance. That's how you can walk without falling over. Your ears are actually the ones that are actually keeping the bones inside your ears, way in the inner ears. And it's called your equilibrium or your vestibular system. And what happens is sometimes you'll do something in a plane, if you don't have reference to the ground, is your body will tell you one thing, and the aircraft is doing something completely different, but your mind will sit there and tell you what you think it's doing. Okay, so he thought he was climbing. He tried to climb, and the aircraft started a left downward and almost started a spin. It's called a graveyard spiral. That's what it is. So with a helicopter, it's a lot more difficult to get out of the clouds once you're in the clouds, because you're constantly on the controls. you can turn the autopilot on in a fixed wing aircraft, and then what they say is they teach you to make a 180, and then you can get out, theoretically, you can get out of the clouds. Well, not so in a helicopter. So I haven't read all 1,600 pages, but it seems to me that he almost didn't know that he was descending, because he started a left turn and then descended, and he was descending real quick. I mean, they were dropping like a rock.
Now, can I ask you a question real quick? At
Yeah.
that point, when he got in those clouds, I'm sure his wife and her sister probably didn't know it, but do you think that he knew at that time, as soon as he got up there, that he was in a desperate situation?
That's why he started pulling up. Yes,
Wow.
he knew. I don't know if he knew he was in trouble, but he knew he was in a difficult situation as a pilot.
Wow.
Let's use the word difficult. And that's
Wow.
why he started pulling up, because he knew that if he can climb, he would be safer. Because obviously climbing, so the theory would be you're gaining distance between the helicopter and the ground below you. Instead, the opposite was happening. And he started turning. I don't even know if he knew that he was turning. So like I said, I didn't read all 1,600 pages of it.
But Ron, if you got he's in that plane. If you got the control of that plane, you turn to the left. Don't you know you turn to the left though?
Not in a helicopter. No.
He wasn't helicopter John Jr. He was in a plane.
If you're familiar with the instruments, yes. But then that's when your body's fighting you, because your body can tell you something completely opposite than what the plane is actually doing.
Wow.
And that's what happened with him.
Wow.
Yeah. He wasn't familiar with flying at night, let alone in the clouds. And then he was over water. So now you have a whole bunch of things stacked up against you. And then there was a plane that he was not very familiar with. And then he had didn't he have a broken leg? I think he had, I know he had some type of injury.
Yeah.
And that did play a factor in his crash as well, because it affected the responsiveness of controlling the rudder pedals on that airplane. And that's a high performance 6-seater that he was in. So that ain't no Cessna.
Yeah, it's not a Cessna.
It's not a Cessna. No. It's not much different to fly. It's heavier, a little bit bigger, more powerful, can go a little faster, but it's going to feel different. If you're not used to it, then but he, in that case, that was guitaritis.
Yeah, he wanted to get there,
and that's what his thought process was, in my own words, was like, get there or die.
But when you talk about dying, though, I think I might rather have it the way he had it, where he didn't know, other than being able to see the damn word. In other words, all of a sudden the plane goes down, and all of a sudden I'm looking, I know I'm fixing to crash. I believe I'd rather have it like he had it, where I don't know what's fixing to happen. I don't think I'd want to see knowing that I'm fixing to die there, and all of a sudden there's nothing I can do. I'd rather not know, probably, hoping that we're gonna get out of this thing.
True. And it's an interesting point too, because even Kobe's pilot, he knew he was in a difficult situation, but I don't think he even knew that it was a life-threatening situation. That's how quick it was.
But it said all that though, Ron, flying airplanes is still the safest form of transportation in the world, right?
Yes. As far as actual transport, yes. You're going to have more, it's natural to have more accidents in general aviation than commercial aviation. But as far as commercial aviation, yes, that is safer than crossing the street, walking on the sidewalk, getting to the airport. Oh. So, Beachy says he was on a plane going vacation plane was at 37,000 feet, and then it dropped to 35,000. It's like a roller coaster. Couple questions, BJ. Okay.
Mhm.
First of all, wow.
Yes.
Okay. Did mask come down?
Yeah, the mask came down.
Okay, because I'm thinking before you tell me, there's things running through my head that are just some of them are more assumptions because obviously I wasn't there, but that's what led me to that question there. So that could have been cabin, some type of cabin depressurization type thing. If you're going from 37,000 feet to 35,000 feet, if you're doing that quick, I mean that's only 2,000 feet. But if you're doing it real quick, you're either avoiding somebody else or somebody avoiding you. But then again, my apologies. I did misread that too. So you did say that the mask did come down.
Yeah, this is when I was going to Daytona 500 to Florida,
Oh, no kidding.
and it was in the morning, and I can still remember like it was like this morning. It was just me and my family going. We were just excited. It was in the summer. We're like, yeah, we're going there. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to the track. I'm invited to go. Oh, you got to go. Okay, Ben. All right, thank you for
All right,
sharing.
Bannerman.
So we left off. Now we're flying. Everything's up with 37,000 feet in the air. So the captain has to announce where the location they're going now, the feet that they're gonna travel up to. And of course, we're up to that height. We're in the middle of the aircraft. The seatbelt is still on. They didn't turn them off yet. Thank goodness. And out of nowhere, the plane just went. It got
Wow.
caught by the turbulation, and the turbulation pulled it down. The turbulence.
Mhm.
It pulled it. But there was a storm coming that time. And of course, the mixture of the moisture, and I don't know how they do that. The heat and cold. We were on top of the storm, and that's when the turbulence went and brung the plane like that. That's what I said. It felt like a roller coaster.
Wow.
The
Yeah, it
mask.
shouldn't be that quick. Obviously there was something a little bit wrong, and even then that would have been sounded like a weather issue, but that would be more common if you're going from like 37,000 feet to like maybe 10,000 feet, which is usually what happens. And you're going down quick. It's not like you're going down or anything. Everybody thinks like, oh my God, we're done, we're doomed, and we're going to crash. No, that's actually a normal thing. Like if you have cabin depressurization, but there is, sounds like you almost had like a compressor issue of one of the engines, and probably just brought the engines back up, and everything ended up being okay.
The engine number 3 got struck by lightning.
I wonder why that. Okay, that sounds.
And of course, planes they
That
have
makes
4
sense.
engines. And when it gets struck, these other one comes on. That's when they went. And of course, the mask came out. They did announce that there was lightning that struck the 3rd engine, and that was caused by us going down.
Steve.
I feel like am I? I feel like I was on an old school roller coaster.
Yeah, a couple things. The mask probably went down. I'm paraphrasing because, like I said, obviously I wasn't on that same flight. But usually, like if you're going down that fast, it's usually just sometimes it's an automatic thing. Sometimes it's a little bit more sensitive than what it needs to be. So they automatically. It could have been triggered. Sometimes you can manually trigger it in the flight deck. There's a switch on the overhead panel most aircraft, it's an overhead panel. Or you can pull, or behind you, you could pull a circuit breaker, and that'll do it too. It could have been just the speed at which you fell. It could have been pilot induced as far as not the switch or the circuit breaker, but if you're losing an engine at 37,000 feet with a 3-engine, we joke about 3-engine airplanes all the time. We call them 3-holers.
Mm.
That's an inside aviation joke, by the way. But most likely you couldn't, just due to physics, flight physics, you couldn't keep that altitude. So you had to get down to a better altitude. Not because of air, but because of just you can't maintain that altitude because now you have all 3 of your engines running and now you have just 2 of them. So now you can't maintain 37,000 feet. So that's perfectly normal. Again, it shouldn't have happened, but the descent, I would just say maybe it was a little quicker than it should have been. Usually if you're only like just a 2,000 feet, like if you cleared down to 35,000 feet from 37, you're in the glare shield in the autopilot panel, maybe 500 feet per minute is what you would normally do. Maybe as much high as maybe 700 feet, but if you're going to level off within 2,000 feet like that, if you're going all the way down to breathable air is anything from 12,000 and lower. That's what normally. You could be as high as maybe 15 with a cabin depressurization because you're still going to be on the ground pretty daggone soon, within minutes. But yeah, you're gonna feel like you better have your seatbelt on, number one. Have there been not just from turbulence, but because of cabin depressurization, have there been flight attendants who have actually gotten hurt because of that? Unfortunately, yes. Because they're out and about, they're usually in an aisle or they're in a galley, and they have nothing to hold on to. I wish there was some kind of, on the aisle seats, I wish there was some type of handle on the seats that flight attendants can grab a hold of.
Yeah, they should do that.
Because as robust as those seats are, and believe me, those seats will save your life if they're ever needed. That's how much you could take an airline seat and throw it like a football, and it won't break the seat, so to speak. You can use it and abuse it and everything, but if you're going to install a handle on just the aisle seats, first of all, that's not really adding any more weight to the aircraft. A couple pounds at best, because maybe add an ounce per seat, So yeah, that's a pound every 16 seats. But, at the same time, if these handles are part of the seat, you're not ripping the handle off the seat either. So the worst thing that could happen is maybe pulling your arm out of a socket. You'll still go airborne. But God, that's happened to so many flight attendants where they sit there and they're in there and all of a sudden something happens and it happens that quick. And yeah, they go airborne because they're descending so quickly, or if it's such a turbulent area, if they're flying it. That's why they always tell you, always keep your seatbelt on, even if it's a smooth flight, because you never know, because there's such a thing called clear air turbulence. You can't, as a pilot, you can't see that. And sometimes you'll hit that. If you hit that, no big deal. You sit there, you get on the radio, and ask air traffic control if you can say, hey, maybe we might be slowing down a few knots, or we're a higher cruising altitude or a lower cruising altitude. And they work with you. That's usually something an airline would do, but that's what's fun on general aviation is I don't have to get on the radios and say, hey, can I fly higher? unless I'm in controlled airspace. But usually, if I'm just flying for leisure, I don't have to do that. I can pick any damn altitude that I want. I'm not allowed to fly above 10,000 feet, but due to the license that I have. But
Mm.
you know,
So then, when Captain, when they announced, there was a thunderstorm that lightning struck the third engine. That's the reason why we went down. And the mask came out and they said, you are. They had. Don't worry about putting the mask on. The engine has turned off, and we'll put the spare engine on because it was a jumbo jet, and those
okay.
are big airplanes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They could take
Twin
out.
Owls. Yeah.
And when that one, the one on the tail, that's the fourth engine.
Hmm.
And of course, when that hit, and of course, the plane goes. you go. You feel like your body will just. You lose the control of your. You can't bear it. You're just gonna go with it.
Hmm.
It's like when you're on the roller coaster. You're going with the ride.
Yeah.
And of course, when that was done, and then it said that the engine got struck by lightning, but we got back onto the same amount of feet in the sky, and when
Hmm.
we landed, they're gonna go check it, but we're gonna not let you out from the airport. We're gonna let you outside the original way. They outside and you go down the stairs.
Yeah.
So when we looked, the whole engine was gone.
Oh wow.
The lightning blew it up. It was a 747 jumbo jet.
Let's see.
And did that stop me from flying? No. Was it scary? Yeah, it does get scary, but are you gonna let that stop you? No. I continue flying. Still
Mhm.
gonna say, I love flying.
Yeah.
I haven't been flying in a while, but I'll get back up there in the sky one day, back to flying. Vacation planes. I don't fly planes, no, I take vacations.
Right.
Because they do say every airplane is different, like the fighter jets,
Mhm.
the regular airplane, the avian airplane, the fighter, they're all different. But of course, the big jumbo plane, that's a lot of power. I mean,
Yeah.
can you guess how much fuel is in that big plane?
There's a lot of fuel. Oh yeah.
That's a lot of fuel. And these planes, I mean, they fly day in, day out. And I can understand why the pilots are tired.
Hmm.
Because, they're going from one place to another.
Yeah.
And that only happened one time and never again.
Mhm.
But I will fly again one day. And I'll put it on Haps. I'll be like, hey, I'm on Haps. I'm live on the plane. You want to see the sky? I'll put it out the window going, you want to look down? Hope no one gets sick.
Mhm.
Because I like to sit near the window.
Oh yeah. Me too.
There's something about the window that is like, oh my gosh, you see the beautiful sky.
Oh yeah.
Until the plane turns. It goes like this and it does.
Mhm.
So there is a joke. There is I know you ever seen the Golden Girls?
A little bit.
Okay. There was this one episode when they were on the plane. And Captain said, if you look on the left, it would tip over. And it was just so funny, but it was also scary because people went like this, like, They said that's a little airplane humor.
Uh,
It's not gonna tip over, they just want you to be like, okay, all right, let's go back to our seats. Every time I'm on the plane, I always think of that one. I go, these guys, they work hard. They work very hard just to land one plane to one destination to another destination.
Yeah. It requires a
Thank you,
lot of
Dave.
practice. It's not hard, but there's a couple actual professional pilots who have done that, have brought in non-pilots into airliner type level D simulators. And those level D simulators are, it's pretty much the real thing. Like once you're inside the simulator, those are the actual instruments that you would have on board. And then it's just a big box and then like a hangar type room type thing with big hydraulic legs to make it movable. And they've brought people in just to see, like, okay, well, this person's never flown a plane. Can they land an airliner? Because everybody's thought that at one time or another, because we've all seen the movies or whatever where somebody has to take over
Mm-hmm.
and then they save the day kind of thing and sit there, and that's their theory. Like, would that ever happen in real life? And, it's more of a shoots and giggles type thing. But, that has happened in general aviation actually quite a few times, actually, where like the passengers sit there and something happened to the pilot or whatever, and then the passenger has to land the airplane. There's a lot of times where the passenger has been successful despite how panicked that they are. There's a whole bunch of stories out there. Oh yeah. As far as an airliner, most likely no. And even if it did happen, there's two scenarios that would be highly more likely than just a regular passenger. Hey, this is somebody qualified to fly this airplane. Before they're doing that, they would rely on the flight attendants and that crew that happens to be on board at that time, if anybody's familiar with the airplane. And then they would ask passengers at that time. I don't know if BJ, if you've ever noticed, this is actually a relatively new thing within the last like several years. But anytime that somebody leaves the flight deck, because there's two pilots on board on airliners, at least two pilots, sometimes there's more. Anytime that it doesn't matter if it's the captain or the first officer, but if somebody leaves that flight deck, two things have to happen. One, just actual like business. So, business figuratively and literally. So, yeah, they'll use the lavatory, number one. And then number two, they can't take long. So in other words, they sit there and they're not going to stand outside the flight deck door and start flirting with a female flight attendant. They still will, but they're not going to stand there for an hour and talk to them because they have a 3-hour conversation because they have a multi-hour cruise or something. They're not allowed to do that. But point being, usually it's a flight attendant that somebody has to take that seat, or at least stand in for the pilot that leaves the flight deck. And in flight attendant training, I know this for a fact, in flight attendant training, you have to, just like a pilot, you have to be certified on certain types of aircraft. So if you work for an airline that has multiple different kinds of aircraft, you may not fly in every single aircraft, only the ones that they train you on. And part of that training, I don't even know how long it is, but it's enough to say, hey, this is what the flight deck looks like, and this is the basic controls on the flight deck. This is how to get on the radio if something happens. That's about it. And then they know where things are. They don't necessarily how to fly the aircraft. Forget it. Unless they already are a pilot by then. And some of them are general aviation pilots, and so then you can find stuff relatively easy and find whatever appropriate radio you need, because there's multiple radios, so you have to transmit on the right frequency and everything. So there was one time that there was a pilot Well, thank you, Shar. um, there was one time that I was a passenger on an airline flight, and there happened to be a pilot in the, not the pilot that was on duty on board. He was what they call, you know what deadheading is. They're just traveling from one airport to another, and they just sit with the passengers 9 times out of 10. And he was just wearing his regular civilian clothes. He wasn't in his pilot uniform, but you could tell that he worked for the airline and he was a pilot or whatever. And the person, I was a window seat, and the person next to me had never boarded an airplane, let alone flew a day in her life. So I was keeping her calm or whatever, just that way she'd not panic or whatever. So I was talking her through what was happening live as the aircraft was actually doing it or whatever. And I with certain types of aircraft, I'm pretty good at telling like when the aircraft is gonna leave the runway upon takeoff. And if you're the actual pilot flying, when you're looking at your instruments, you're actually reading speeds and calling them out to the other pilot next to you to call them V speeds. And they're very critical or whatever. So I was calling out like V speeds without looking at the instruments because I'm sitting in the cabin or whatever, and this pilot's just looking at me like, how in the bleep does he know this? Or whatever. And it's just something that if you fly all the time, you get kind of good at or whatever. But the look on his face was like, how the hell are you doing that? And I sit there, and my timing was good. I didn't know if my timing would be good or not, but I'm like, approximate, because obviously I'm not into flight deck, and I'm not looking at the instruments telling me what the actual speed of the airplane is, because the airplane won't leave after just on a very specific speed, leaving that runway. And I was calling out V speeds. I said, okay, we're going to lift. And when I said now, that's when the wheels lifted off the runway. And he's sitting there just staring at me. He's 2 rows behind me in the aisle seat, just staring at me the whole time. Like, not only he knows what he's talking about, but he was like right on without looking at the instruments. I'm like, yeah, you must be a pilot. He's like, yeah, that's why I was looking at you. Like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, like I'm pretty good. Like, like I know we're full, so I approximately know like what the aircraft weight is, so I know what the V speeds are probably going to be just in my head or whatever. So I know what pretty close to what you guys programmed in the computer.
That's great. I mean, because you know about the flying, the experience, because you know about it. And there's a lot of people out there in the world today that would say, "Yeah, I'm so smart about flying." You go, "Really?" And you give them that test, they look at you like, uh, they give that reaction like,
Uh-huh.
"Yeah, I know what they're." You go, "Really? You know the top speed of a plane? I know you know the top speed of an aircraft because you've flown them." But there is that one person that could be very ridiculous, try to be like feeling one of those head honcho, or show off. Like, I can fly a plane without even noticing what to do. And you go, okay. You give them the test, and they go, duh.
Why we have 3 tests.
Like
Yeah,
their brain
you have
goes,
the
duh.
written test. You have to pass that, and then you have the actual flight test. Pass the maneuvers with your designated examiner, and then that's why you have an oral test. And an oral test can be as little as it could. I've known guys that gone through the test in as little as 20, 25 minutes. As far as the oral tests, I know guys have sat there for hours in front of their examiner, depending on how your examiner is and what type of flying that you're being tested to do. And usually it's the longer, the more advanced type of license.
Mhm.
Like when I took my oral test, I probably spent maybe a little less than an hour or so. But sport pilot's pretty simple. You don't need to know nothing really fancy or anything. They quiz you on regulations, a couple of the maneuvers. Um, Pretty much almost they can ask you whatever they want. Really, at that point, it's usually you know they'll say, okay, well, if you're going from destination to another destination, and how would you plan for the flight? Kind of thing. And, they'll tell you all kind. And you walk them through that. So as far as even to this day, other than a flight instructor, no really consider a flight instructor a passenger, but my only real actual passenger that I've ever had was my designated examiner. That was it. But usually when I fly, I'm solo. So you have to know what you're doing if you're solo. But
I mean, I never flown a plane, but accuracy is very difficult. All those controllers and knobs.
it's harder for some than others, even if they want to learn to fly. Some take longer to learn, which is perfectly fine. Hard. What I do, I can state for myself that it's not very hard. Doesn't mean that I didn't have difficulties. Everybody will have difficulties while you're learning, especially if you're sitting next to an instructor or whatever. Like some of the maneuvers you might have to do multiple times to get better at. But it's a lot to learn though. So it depends on what you mean by difficult, because as far as controlling the aircraft itself, if it's a fixed wing, I can literally, without turning the autopilot on, which I have a special, very basic autopilot, which can help you. You don't want to have it on like the entire duration of the flight, but it definitely helps you, like if you're busy in the cockpit, if you're writing stuff down or looking up stuff or finding information about an unfamiliar airport. Maybe you have to land there instead of your destination, or maybe you switch destinations. Finding information out as far as like maybe you get distracted or whatever. So it's like, okay, well, maybe you're concentrating on looking at other aircraft that's near you. So you have to visually identify who they are, because it's not always air traffic control is going to tell you where they are, especially in uncontrolled airspace. But I can literally, as long as it's called trimming, as long as you trim the aircraft properly, which is actually very easy to do, you can take your hands off the controls and the plane will mostly stay where you want it. If you're flying at 3,000 feet, that aircraft, unless you do something major, it'll generally stay at 3,000 feet. A correction here and there, but usually a correction is I'll put my thumb and forefinger on the aircraft that I learned in has a stick in between your legs on both seats, because it's only a 2-seater. But like on a Cessna, on the yoke, you can correct the airplane with your thumb and forefinger, just the bottom corner of the yoke, with the left of the yoke, left side of the yoke, bottom corner there. Thumb and forefinger is all you need. Be gripping it like this, or even just one and have the other hand on the thrust levers or throttle, if you will, because that's what a lot of students will do that. Like almost like a death grip, and it's like, okay, just relax. And as long as you have a stable airplane, once you learn how to stabilize it, the only thing that'll change is if you're making like a purposeful change, like if you have like a headwind versus a tailwind, or vice versa, or like if you're making a power adjustment on your engine. If you're making a power adjustment, you have to retrim. As long as you retrim, the aircraft is stable. Very easy to fly. Very, very easy to fly. That's how a lot of the most general aviation, smaller of the general aviation, that's why Cessnas are very popular as a training flight, or training airplane rather, is you can use and abuse that airplane, and the airplane's still going to love you back. You know, because at the end of the day, as long as you're taking care of the airplane, that'll take care of you. But if you're not taking care of the airplane, then I don't know if I should be sorry for you if you're a certified pilot or not. I don't know, but the difficult part is just depending on, like, I don't know how your short-term memory is, as opposed to like your long-term. So, cool, Bruce. But there's a lot to know, a lot to remember, as far as regulations, what you can do, what you can't do, where you can go, why you can go, what you can do with the aircraft, things like that. But once you know them, then they're just second nature. Just, it's no different than driving. You just have to know a lot more than what you were required to be driving. Like when I'm flying VFR, if I remember correctly, if I'm flying east, you fly in the 500s. So the odd altitude. So if I'm flying east, let's say I want to fly at 3,000, so I'd be flying at 3,500 cruising altitude. And then west, I think it's the evens, if I remember correctly. So it'd be an even 3,000 or even 4,000. And that's for spacing. So air traffic control doesn't have to do that for you. Everybody's doing it on their own. And that's how you avoid from hitting anybody. Like I have to avoid certain airspace. Like I'm not allowed to fly into Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. I can't fly into Pittsburgh. Due to the airspace. And I'm not allowed to ask for permission to go in those airspaces either. That's called Class B airspace, or Class Bravo airspace. If you're private pilot on up, you can ask for permission prior to entering, and then it's up to air traffic control to give you proper clearance to go in there. That's happened a lot. They're letting a lot of general aviation pilots fly into major international airports because of COVID, because they're a lot less busy now. So they're much more accommodating. But 9 times out of 10, they sit there and it's not them being mean, but it's like, no, you're not cleared into the Class Bravo airspace. You have to remain outside the airspace. And it's funny because think of Class B airspace around most, not all of them, but most major international airports. JFK, LaGuardia, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philly, Miami, Los Angeles, Denver, Dallas, Chicago. Chicago's weird because Chicago O'Hare is Class B airspace, but Chicago Midway, I think can't remember if it's Class C or Class D airspace. I'll have to look that up, but I know for a fact that it's not Class B.
Wow. Thank you for that. Very interesting.
The higher the license, or the more complex. Like, so why we were talking about John F. Kennedy earlier, is because he was flying an airplane where yeah, it's easier to fly than a commercial airliner or even a small private jet, but he still had to be on his game. And that night, unfortunately, he wasn't on top of his game. The Piper that he was flying will make you work. But if you're familiar with that aircraft, then knock on wood, you should be okay. And generally you are. But he had multiple things going against him that just he shouldn't have gotten airborne. Now, Kobe's pilot had options last year. They had options. They had different alternatives. Not only, they could have landed somewhere else, or like I said, I'll get into that tomorrow, but yeah.
Thank you, Ryan, for that. That's very
Yeah,
interesting.
definitely. But yeah, I've been on air for just shy of 4 hours now. So
almost 4 hours.
Yeah, and I blew my goal way off the water. 411. That's what I'm seeing now. So yeah, it is getting late. So I thank you for joining. I thank everybody for joining earlier, whether it's just a viewer or as a guest. And you're always more than welcome in here, BJ. But yeah, I'm probably gonna hop on down here. Yeah.
Thank you for having me on here. And it was very interesting
Likewise.
what you explained to me. I mean, I
Yeah.
may not fly planes, but I
Mhm.
do take vacations. But you work very hard to do what you have to do to fly a plane. And thank you, Ryan.
Thank
for
you, Bruce. Thank you, Shar.
Very
Everybody else.
historic. And I will never forget about that.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me on. I'm gonna
Yeah, definitely. Likewise.
Can get off here. Thank you, Bruce. And I'm gonna hit the sack because I have to get up
Yeah.
and do more cleaning.
Yeah, because I'm such a night owl. So
Yeah.
earlier
Yeah.
today, I woke up at 1 p.m. I slept in until like 1. But
I've been up since 8 o'clock.
yeah, holy cow. Yeah. So the earlier I get up tomorrow, the more I can prep for tomorrow's show. So
And I'll be on your show when it
definitely.
comes to me talking about the plane. I'll shoot right over there as best as I can.
Definitely. Yeah, I have no idea exactly what time it is. It'll be sometime after 5 p.m. I think it's going to be a lot later than that. But it could be as early as 5 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see.
All right. So if I don't show up there, I'll
So
watch the replay.
definitely. Yeah. So
Have a good night,
alrighty.
everybody. Have a good night, Shar. Have a good night, Bruce. Have a good night, Ryan.
Good night, Bruce. Good night, Shar. Good night, everybody else. And I missed you. Thanks to Bannerman and everybody else for the rewards and hopping in. And I appreciate you guys.
See you later, everybody.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye now. All right. And those of you who are